I don't know how to start this podcast. We can start it now. Okay, so all of what was recorded beforehand will not be in the final episode. Only wink. Do you get it? See, it's really hard to wink on a audio based or oral.
Niamh starts off with a banger.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm falling already.
Oh, I love when you.
Let's just see where she's going, Bryan.
My whole body shuts down. I'm gonna die.
I paused the file for like half a second, so it's like the audio cuts for a sec.
I have nothing. We do nothing anymore. What is life? Mostly pointless. Just don't ask me for anything.
So you know how like the 1920s were referred to as the Roaring 20s? Mm-hmm. Like this decade, the 2020s, it's the Snoring 20s. Like there is fucking nothing.
Did you come up with that one yourself?
I did, yeah.
See, my problem with that is it feels like it's been cooking for a while as well.
The Snoring 20s, yeah.
And Bryan, like, I don't know.
Well, you know what? 10 people at work gave it a thumbs up. And you know what? Someone in the comments has just liked and subscribed. They're like, that guy there, pretty funny. Pretty funny for someone on the internet.
I keep fucking up work chat moments to the point where I just do not comment anymore. It's like I'm the last person to say something and then all conversation dies. Or they'll be like, let's do a cute, like, weird GIF competition where you post weird GIFs. They don't actually mean weird.
Oh my god.
No, they mean like funny animal videos.
They mean funny
so
animal.
What please tell us this tale.
I don't know. I was searching for weird, like actually weird fucked up GIFs, and I found one that was like some source filmmaker shit where it's like a silver 3D woman and like a baby falls out of her and crawls towards the camera, and I was like, that is fucked. And then I posted it, and people were like,
"Well, everyone, Niamh wins the competition."
I was like, oh
and
no.
Niamh's like, I fucking got him!
We're all very upset and confused. Thank you, Niamh. I really like how you'll find a GIF and it'll preview the GIF and you're like, that's perfect. Okay, I'll post that. And then you post the GIF and you realize the GIF is longer than you think it is. And so it'll be like a video of like maybe like a child in a car and the car goes too, like a little toy car, and the car goes too fast down the hill. And it cuts off while the child's going down the hill. But then you play the full GIF and it continues with the child going down the hill and then hitting a wall and the child falling out crying. And you're like, I don't know about the rest of that, but you know, the first half was good.
Bryan, that child got hurt.
Yeah, the child got hurt, and I shared it with people at work, and you know, that's something you do in a professional environment.
I kind of miss stuff like that. I miss interactions where you're like, I don't know this person, so I'm going to test this. Because I think that part of me is dead now. Because the only people I talk to are people that I know very, very well.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like it when you realize that someone else has kind of like a strange sense of humor and they're going to be down for this. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, but someone needs to fuck up before you realize that.
Yeah.
You need to... Oh, it's so awful.
It's real fun when someone fucks up and then you and the other person get to be like, hello to that guy. So I guess you're that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I was just like, see, Niamh's weird baby.
They're like in a separate chat being like, what the fuck's up with her?
But do you think then that like on the other side of it where you're like, do you think there's scenarios where you're like the normal one?
No, never. Literally never. I have never posted anything, be it text, GIF, or picture, that has not just been met with silence or, okay, moving on. I don't know why. I just can't do it. I overthink it. It takes me 20 minutes to write something, so it's Niamh's typing for 20 minutes, and then it's just, I freak out and then type in out, like just, okay. And it's just like, okay, took her a long time to get there. Oh, I hate it. Anyway, that's our start. Is that relatable?
Oh god. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the most amicable conversationists to ever work in a smart casual office. To my left, it's the water cooler. It's Bryan.
Hey, I need a refill around 3:50 for the 4 p.m. water rush.
And to my right, owner of the paper shredder, it's Niamh.
I take 16 tea breaks a day.
And with you always, I'm your host, John.
The door stopper.
The door.
He won't move.
It's like, you know how some offices have a door stopper and you're like kicking it out of the way and then you realize, oh wait, this was actually like nailed into the floor and I broke it.
That's my job.
Yeah.
You can't come in here.
The door stopped. I stopped the door for you.
It's not 5 p.m. yet, Niamh.
Brian, you won't know this because it's in the girls' bathroom, but there was a broken toilet holder in the studio bathroom before, and that was broken because one time I went there to have a lie down and I used to rest my head on the toilet roll and just kind of be depressed in there for a full few minutes. And one time the weight of my sad head snapped the toilet roll holder clean off, and it was never fixed.
I remember in the college toilets, there used to be a lot of graffiti on the wall, and I'd try and like farm for what could I write that would piss people off the most.
Did you get it?
I wrote Thug Life once, and that sure set people off.
It's not appropriate.
No, it's not appropriate.
In the same workplace environment, in the men's bathroom, there was a pair of footprints on the ceiling. I may or may not be responsible for those. John, do you remember one time I was in the bathroom and you were in the other cubicle beside me? This is a true story. And okay, so I have a phobia about doing number twos in public bathrooms. Until about the age of 23, I could only ever do it in a more personal environment, i.e. a home.
Oh man, I'll dump ass anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, like,
you don't need to tell us.
I have a very...
Hey, I got all the support for that. Sorry, man.
I have a very sensitive fanny, and... and, you know, I don't like using public bathrooms, and if I have to sit down, I hover, you know, because that's... You know,
you can make a toilet like paper seat.
There's a lot of techniques.
Yeah.
You know, there is, but
So you're a UFO user, Brian.
as someone who is unfamiliar with this until, you know, my early 20s, I didn't do this in my teens, which I think is where a lot of your problem solving.
So you're only reaching like journeyman status now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm doing it, and there was a big mental block that I got over in my head the first time I did it. And it was in the bathroom at work. At the time, we were all working in the same office, or the same studio, same animation studio. And you're there, and the cubicle beside you, and it's one of those cubicles where, like, you know, it's raised off the ground a little bit at the top and bottom. You know, there's a bit of intimacy between you and your partner.
You can see someone's ankles.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And ankles were once a taboo subject, but not anymore. And... so I do it and I feel accomplished and I flush it right away, and I just kind of have to sit there because, you know, the way you've got to have to do your 2 to 5 minute sit to kind of make sure everything is, the valves are sealed. So I'm there and I'm just kind of collecting myself, and I hear from the cubicle next door, "That's a familiar voice. It's our dear John." And I hear, "Is someone next door?" And I'm like, "John, is that you?" And it's like, "Brian?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." And then I hear, "Is there any toilet paper in there?"
That's bullshit. This did not happen. This is like, I can remember times when me and Brian have been in the stall at the same time and funny shit has happened. Brian is also remembering that, but he can't remember quite what happened, and this is what his memory has filled in.
This
I like
this
that
happened on March 24th, 2012.
I like that you dispute the story where you actively wipe your ass.
Yeah.
That was a technicality that I left out, and I could. There was no shit.
Okay,
And,
Okay, no, we don't need to go there.
See,
We don't need to go there.
I didn't let you.
I'm completely fine clarifying. John's experience in the park was a clean squirt from a ketchup bottle.
Oh
no
my
further.
God. No.
It was just.
You see, Niamh, when enough force.
One of my favorite memes ever is the "look how hard I can pee" meme.
She is doubled over laughing, everyone.
It's so good.
It's like a fire hose.
Like, I don't want to get too detailed, but the pressure that had built up with...
No, I was thinking about this before. If we're going to do these type of stories, which are disgusting, we should stop. And I must say, when I was queen, did not happen as frequently as this. If we're going to do them, we need to do it mid-podcast so people are, like, lulled in by our charming personalities. They subscribe, they may go to the Patreon, and then
hit it with the rank.
And then we can be disgusting after they know our charming selves.
What if we take this to the extreme of what you're talking about? Patron-only shit stories.
Honestly, those little bastards deserve it.
It's called, like, the Fanny Farm.
The Fanny Farm?
The Brown
I don't think you know how your bodies work.
No, in America, the Fanny is the back one.
So we're capitulating to American vocabulary, are we?
Well, yeah, it's in dollars, the Patreon,
Haven't they
isn't it?
taken enough?
They're our main source of income.
It's true, over 60% of our listenership.
Yeah, oh dear.
60% is, like, pretty, like, international by online standards.
Yeah.
I think a solid 9%, not quite 10, is Irish, and thank you.
Thanks, lads.
Yeah, we are the. Listen, you like video game podcasts, you like Irish voices. No one better. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No one fucking better. I don't know. I haven't listened, but there's probably not, right?
I've never listened to another podcast. I couldn't tell you. Don't know what a podcast is. Too late now.
Well, I'll show you. Guys, we all watched Censor.
We all watched it.
We all watched it.
This is an independent horror film that came out earlier this year. It's a Welsh horror film from a Welsh director, starring an Irish actress, but also English actors. Set in the UK in the early 80s during the video nasty era.
Uh-huh.
I love that aspect of it. I thought it was a really interesting time to set a movie, set a horror movie specifically in a censor room. So Niamh Algar plays Enid, and she
fantastic.
works in the BBFC, so the British Board of Film Classification, during the video nasty era, and they make edits mostly to cinema releases at this stage. Or is this the video releases at this
So
stage?
It's home video.
originally it was you could only censor movies in the cinema.
Yeah.
And then, so that's why during the 70s, it just got flooded with like all these completely uncensored videotapes.
these weird home
So
rentals.
at this point, the British government have caught on, and now they're censoring videotapes.
Okay, so like there was a moral panic basically called Video Nasty, where it was just like a media tabloid frenzy kind of, and the whole idea is that children are getting their hands on these like uncensored VHS tapes, and they're just going fucking crazy from the gore.
Yeah,
And
it's
just
going to turn them into serial killers.
Yeah, everyone's gonna go crazy. So there was a piece of legislation that was brought into UK law as a reaction to that moral panic, which then meant that VHS was censored in the same way that cinema was, but even more so, it was stricter censoring than cinema release.
They have a line about it in this movie where they're like, well, what if a child rewinds this part over and over? Like, that's kind of their concern.
Yeah,
and it was big enough that it also affected Ireland, just because the film classification laws at the time, the distribution between the UK and Ireland was the same. So the video nasty era kind of leaked over to us. And like certain films like Monty Python's The Life of Brian was banned because Ireland was such a religious country up until like the early 90s.
Oh, it's disrespectful.
And then other films like A Clockwork Orange were banned and forgotten about until 1999 when Kubrick died. And so film censorship in the UK and Ireland was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
it
crazy.
really was. And even into the early 2000s, it's interesting what things were banned and what weren't. So Irish censors were way more lenient with cursing. So something that would get like a motherfucker or fuck in the UK would get an 18s, but in Ireland would get a 16s or 15s. But the UK was better with LGBT content, so they would give lower ratings to stuff like "But I'm a Cheerleader," where Ireland gave that an 18s. So it's like it's just really interesting kind of stuff when it comes to film censorship, and that's where this movie is set in, and it's like specifically about a censor who is watching these movies, and basically a murder happens and it gets pinned on a movie, and she gets a lot of tabloid pressure and outside pressure.
Yeah, because she was the film censor responsible for
cutting.
releasing
What was the name of the actor?
Niamh Algar.
I thought she did a really good job of playing someone who would very believably, passionately be into censoring movies, while also like there was enough humanity in her that you could like her.
Yeah, she believed it. She believed she was doing good, you know, kind of thing.
She's got a really interesting face as well, where she's got a very like stone chin.
She has like a very like she's super pretty. She has like a very like unique kind of jawline.
Yeah, and like she and that her costuming in the movie is very subdued and grey.
Yeah, it's all like
she's
buttoned up to her neck
because
because
she herself is censored.
Yeah.
I was watching it with Rebecca, and she was like, she looks familiar. And it turns out she's from the same hometown as Rebecca, and she has a bunch of sisters, and Rebecca went to school with one of her sisters.
That's fucking crazy.
That's mad.
And all her sisters look alike, and she just looked very familiar, so that was fun.
Bryan, can I tell you a weird film coincidence that I know maybe only you will get a kick out of?
Okay.
So the other day I watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I also watched, then the next day I watched Possessor. You know the...
Jennifer Jason Leigh's on both of them, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, what a coincidence.
she's
Possessor
very
was
good.
on the video nasty list as well.
Yeah.
Possessor?
Yeah.
Wait, The Possessor, the film that came out 2 years
Oh, you're talking about the new Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the yeah, because like to me the main two big
You
video
thinking of
nasty movies.
Possession?
I think, yeah, maybe.
Because Possession is the one from 1981.
That must be that one then.
That's fucking weird good
So
movie.
this is so you watch the one where she's like the assassin.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
The boss. The two big offending films I know from documentaries and stuff are Cannibal Holocaust and I Spit on Your Grave. And I've watched both of these films, and I'm sure at the time they were very shocking, but they do look like they were filmed in someone's back garden.
Have you watched Possession?
No.
Okay, Bryan, we're gonna watch Possession because
Okay.
I really want to rewatch it. And it's like, I promise you that film will shock you.
And like it's just the horror in these movies by today's standards is very schlocky and very like they're using jelly and you know like leftovers from a butcher's shop.
Yeah, they're like, most of them like are very low budget horror movies, but they are going to very extreme places.
And so the reaction to them was kind of ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point.
So this is maybe the problem I had with Censor as a movie. We just spent a load of time talking about the video nasty era, and that when I was watching Censor, I had to stop myself from Googling and going down wiki like
Because it's so
holes,
interesting.
because it's
Yep.
super interesting.
I actually did. I
I
did do
stopped
that.
the movie at one stage and went down it, but it was just like I was nearly more interested in the era and the concept than the movie towards the end of it.
So I totally agree, because I like the first half hour of this movie I was so in. I was like, this is fucking great, like this is so weird and interesting, and I feel like there's so much they could kind of do and say with this. And then like as the movie kind of goes on, basically the woman sees this movie that is very reminiscent of a tragic incident from her past, and it kind of starts going down this like vaguely more fantastical hole until it, and like for a while it really lost me, and I was like, oh, I was like you knew I was like really enjoying the censorship kind of video nasty era stuff. By the end of it though, it kind of got fucking loopy enough that I was like, okay.
It
Same.
definitely owns
Yeah.
itself.
You know?
In
Yeah.
the last 5 minutes, it goes, you know what? Here we are.
And you know, like I respect that, because like
was
even
good.
if like I was maybe disappointed in the way it went, it took some swings in that last 5
Yeah.
minutes, you know?
It's really interesting because it's a very personal story to Enid, the character, but it's set in this like moral and cultural panic kind of thing. So it's like there's two nearly competing narratives happening, and Enid's story doesn't, like, I think through the middle of the movie gets a little bit boring, but then it gets into the fantastical realm where it becomes a video nasty, and then
Yeah.
it kind of wraps around and it's kind of makes sense of itself again.
It does.
Yeah.
It does some really cool video effects as well, and transitions. Like there's a great shot where it transitions from like the film grain look of the film into a television TV tube with the VHS scan line.
Yeah.
And it does it super well, and it plays around with the aspect ratio
Yeah,
really
the aspect
well.
ratio, like sometimes it's super wide, sometimes it's 16:9, sometimes it's 4:3. It's
And,
cool.
and
Yeah.
they're doing it to explain where a character's head is at, and that is very well communicated.
Towards the end, I was like, this is giving me like strong Twin Peaks, just David Lynch vibes.
Yeah,
just
but
generally.
especially
Yeah.
like Firewalk with Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's interesting though, because this is a debut. This is her first feature. the directors. So like if that's what you come out swinging with as your debut, like
you're gonna
that's
do
exciting.
some good stuff. Yeah.
What's her name?
God, she has a very strange name.
Yeah,
but I
she's
forgot
Welsh,
it.
so she has like a Welsh name. I've got it here. Prano Bailey Bond.
Yeah.
And she made a short film as well.
Called Nasty.
Yeah, that's sort of about the video nasty, and so I guess that's kind of the practice for this film. But yeah, she's absolutely found her niche.
Yeah.
And it's a good niche. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah, like I definitely kind of went up and down on the film, but like, yeah, I think it's worth watching, especially like if you're into horror. But I guess like the real like tantalizing thing is what you said.
Yeah.
Like if this is how she's starting.
It's kind of a horror movie lover's horror movie because it's so based in the history of horror film.
Yeah.
And like the tropes of it. It kind of reminds me of Scream in that way, is like you'll get way more out of Scream if you've seen a lot of horror or if you know horror history kind of thing.
Because there's horror movies about like snuff films and stuff like that, and some of them are good, some of them are really bad and schlocky now. But like, you know what, this is unexplored territory, so whoever has to step in first is gonna do their research. And a lot of the casting was a lot of Channel 4 actors that are in like the guy Michael Smiley's in it, and he's in loads of horror movies. He's in the Kill List as well. He's the Northern Irish guy.
Oh yeah.
And he is so angry.
Okay, so he's a comedian, but like the way he's like, I'm Michael Smiley. I love Michael Smiley. I love when Michael Smiley shows up in a movie, but like he's just so intimidating, and the character he plays is such a sleaze in this movie. The horror movie producer, and like they know exactly who they're going for with this kind of character, and they use him to his full effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was cool. Like I liked it. I think like, yeah, there was the moment early on where I was like, this is fucking incredible, and like that was not the movie it ended up being, but I still thought it was cool. Guys, I watched Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker, also known as Night Warning, also known as The Evil Protege, also known as On the Verge of a Nightmare. And let me tell you,
I prefer the first name.
none of those titles make any sense at all.
Oh my god.
Okay, so it's funny because this is a horror movie from 1981. This is one of the video nasties. Like, this is one of the 72 listed movies that caused that. I wanted to look it up. A lot of times I'll just see a really weird horror film poster and I'll be like, I have to know what this is about. And the poster for this is just really wild, and I don't think I can describe it, but it's one of those, just, people should look it up. It's like one of those really beautiful, painted, surreal horror posters where someone's getting split open and it looks really cool.
Excellent.
But this is a movie about a boy living with his spooky aunt. And it's like, it is absolutely full of that kind of really exploitive gore that was so kind of like prominent in these films. The first scene features like a couple in a car on like driving on a mountainside, and you know they're like, oh, I hope they don't fall over, because you know the story frames it like they're gonna die. And what ends up happening is they end up getting like trapped behind one of these big trucks that has these like giant logs, and one of the logs shoots out and just fucking catapults a guy's head off.
There has to be a master list of every time that's happened in a movie.
Yeah. I think this is one of the originals.
It's happened a couple of times in the Final Destination movies.
It's Wolverine.
Wolverine. Oh yeah.
Because I was reading the trivia afterwards, and they actually got like a special film cinematographer to come in and shoot this bit, which makes sense because it's kind of way better than the rest of the movie. Basically, this dude's parents die. His creepy aunt takes him in, and she wants him to be with her forever. And the plot kind of unfold. You know, she's murdering people. She's doing spooky stuff. Like, there's a part of that. It's like one of those horror films. It's not very good, but it has moments of real horror that are genuinely really interesting. Like, there is one part where like she just looks at him and she's just like, I just really want you to stay with me. And whatever way she does it, it hits you. He's like, oh, there was something real there. Like, that is like really getting at this person who just cannot let go of this other person, which is like a good concept to build a horror film about. It's also one of the most aggressively misogynistic and homophobic movies I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, to the point that it's nearly completely unenjoyable. And like, both in its violence and just the casual way people talk about, you know, gender and sexuality and stuff. It is like completely irreprehensible. And like the main culprit is like this super like misogynistic homophobic sheriff, and he's kind of a bad guy. And it's like there's like a gay gym teacher in it who's kind of a good guy, but it never tells enough of that gym teacher's story for it to come around, you know. And it's just the
well, the fact that there's even like a good gay in it is probably pretty subversive, even for the time, even if it's full of homophobia. Because
how challenging!
You'd have to like that's a challenge in its of itself.
There is totally an element to that. It's just the other stuff is so vile, and how it works into the plot. Like I was like uncomfortable watching it. It's a weird curiosity of a movie. Like you forget that films kind of used to be like this, and I think that's kind of for better and for worse. It's on Shudder if people like do feel like checking it out. It does have one or two really good moments, but like, they call them nasty for a reason. Niamh, well, we got this Fear train rolling.
Yeah, I watched Fear Street Part 1 in 1994.
Same.
And this is the Netflix movie, and it's based on the R.L. Stine teen horror Fear Street.
This is part 1 of 3.
Yeah. I did not enjoy this.
Okay, I watched the first 5 minutes and I was like, this is fucking terrible, and I turned it off.
Yeah, I was half watching it, and it wasn't really for me. Like, okay, so half of this movie is a teen slasher whodunit, we gotta save ourselves, and it's a group of teenagers that sort of form out of survivors. Mm-hmm. The other half is we need to stop the witch's curse. These two subgenres of horror are both interesting subgenres, but they do not, it's like toothpaste and orange juice, they do not taste well.
It's like, I can see what they're doing because it's going to be a trilogy where this witch thing kind of goes all the way through it, and that's kind of like the overarching curse. But like what you were saying about it being like this teen thing, it was really tonally strange to me because like it's 18s, but all the actors, well, some of the actors, and in the next one, which I haven't watched, they're like Stranger Things kids. And it has a real smack of Netflix Stranger Things exceedingly high budget for something that does not need to have this high a budget. So just like loads of just neon lighting in places that you would not have that kind of lighting. And like you can do that for cool effect in horror, like that's fine. But this really just looks like overly polished.
I love that stuff, but like, you know, if you're gonna put in like crazy lighting, I think it's important it says something, because otherwise it just becomes the default and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
then.
And that's kind of the problem. It's like a police car is giving off like red and green lights or whatever. It's like and whatever, it's just an aesthetic thing, but it just to me read as very Netflixy. Mm-hmm. And same with the dialogue and the characters, where they were these really young teens. I didn't care about any of them. I didn't care about like the narrative going through it, and like it was very not scary and kind of teen in the way that when I was watching it with my girlfriend, she was just like, this is what I imagine Disney Descendants is like, which is like about the bad kids of villains in Disney. And then all of a sudden really gory horror happens, like with a bread slicer.
The bit with the bread slicer really caught me off guard.
Yeah, because it's just...
Because for ages there's no horror, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's a slasher, so there's gonna be like, you know, brutal horror in that, like limbs are gonna go flying and sections of a human head are going to be divided.
But that tonally weird thing happens again, where the girl who gets like bread sliced just before that had an emotional thing with one of the other characters. It's a boy gets the girl kind of thing, and then afterwards it's like, let's get pizza. And like they have a moment in the police station where they were like, they were good people, not drug users. They were my friends, and you can't say these bad things about them. And it's like this real sanctimonious, they were good people. But the movie didn't do anything to actually show them being like, you know, good friends or like a close-knit group.
They seem like chill people, but like, yeah, they weren't. But they were the school drug dealers.
Just the character stuff was so weak in it that you just do not give a shit. Or at least I didn't.
You've got the two main. You've got the main character and her relationship. That That was...
I always think of that bit in the...
Niamh, come on, that's your representation right there.
It was just, but it was nothing. Like, it was just like, it felt vapid. It felt vapid to me. It was just like, well, my friend died, but at least I got to kiss my girlfriend. And it's just like, I think you should be sadder. I think these teens should be bothered more by this.
So you got the main girl, and she's breaking up with someone called Sam. Sam's a girl.
I know, I hated that as well, Bryan. They were really doing that gender baiting for a while, because they were like, I'm going to see Sam at the game, and then the shot is a boy and a girl standing together, like as a couple, and you're like, which one's Sam?
And the boy's grabbing the girl's ass, and she's getting jealous, so you're like, ooh. But it's the girl, and she's a cheerleader, and so she's kind of the cheerleader girl, and then the main girl, I can't remember the main girl's name.
See, Niamh, now you have to like it. That's how it works. You dug your own grave here.
I know.
The main girl was a plaid shirt, so, Niamh has to personally identify with her.
And like they do a lot of callbacks to Scream, like the very start of it is like the start of Scream, where it's kind of like a separate incident away from these kids that they talk about, like,
and they're using one of the girls from Stranger Things, Uma Thurman.
Hawke.
Uma Thurman's daughter, and she's like the most famous actor in the film, which is what they did with Drew Barrymore, because she was the most famous actor at the time when they made Scream, because they used a bunch of unknowns for the main cast then.
I think for me, what really stood out is this this distinction between a period film, which is like a movie set in a time period, so this 94, and a nostalgia film where it's just the trappings, and this is so much licensed music, like Nine Inch Nails,
half the music
Garbage.
Isn't from 94, it's from after 94.
And just like so much 90s.
John, they
like,
used Prodigy,
music.
they used Fat of the Land.
No.
Yeah.
And Fat of the Land did not come out in 1994.
No.
And it just feels like
Man,
there's so
Fat of
much
the
money.
Land, that's just being a stupid teenager in Ireland listening to Fat of the Land, listening to Diesel Power, being like,
that fucking crowd, it's like, the Prodigy! Sorry, Niamh.
No, it's okay. I was
the
really
vast majority of our
When
audience
Keith
will
Flint's
have
died.
they won't even been live when this happened.
That crab on the Fat of the Land album is the most important fucking crab.
Yeah, he is.
He fucking gets it.
And like, look, to the small percentage of our audience who knows what we're talking about, you're the real ones.
Niamh, can the crab from Fat
Yes,
of the Land?
it can.
Please, thank you. Okay, so in the album artwork, you're going to see that fucking crab. I will provide a high-res PNG for you.
Thank you. But yeah, it just felt like they had a lot of money, and maybe that money should have gone to, I don't know, a better script.
And the film doesn't have an ending because it's part of the first part of a trilogy, and I am out.
I am so out as well. The second one seems to be like the Friday the 13th sleepaway camp one.
And
No, it was actually boring bad. Like, I was like, this sucks.
The second one has the red-haired girl from Stranger Things season
Max,
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the third one is about to come out. By the time recording, it should be out.
Yeah, and that's set in like 1600s or something. This is the witch one that kind of starts it.
Yeah, the actual like settlement.
That's the one I'm actually
Witch
more
hunt.
interested in, because the first one is
Just
like
watch The
doing
Witch.
that's what I mean, is doing an homage to Scream. The second one is like Friday the 13th, and then like the third one, we've always had like witch movies, but they have kind of grown in popularity. So I wonder if they're going to kind of do more like modern day like witch, or something like Suspiria.
So
like, how are you going to do that?
I started playing Little Hope again recently with our good buddy Steph, and turns out that's a witch game.
Really?
I did not. Yeah, I played like an hour and a half. I'll talk about it. I want to play it more before I talk about it properly. But I played like an hour and a half of this before, and I was not into it. And played it with Steph. Jeez, gross! It's that is more fun when you have company. But yeah, that's a witch game. It's a kind of time traveling adventure to the Salem witch trials. I thought it was a Silent Hill like.
Yeah, they kind of really pushed that idea in the trailers. But that's kind of the one I'd be more interested to see how they try and pastiche something like that.
I think we can do more with witch stuff. I like witch horror.
Give a witch a motorcycle.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want,
be down for that.
Guys, witches in space. Like, they're magic and no gravity. What the fuck is that?
We're running out of oxygen. How could this get any worse?
You don't need gravity with a broomstick.
He looks outside and there's a witch on a broomstick in space.
Or like a witch making a potion where she's like floating and it's like floating around. She's like, gotta get that astronaut ice cream. Or, like, I want like a proper witch with like stripy tights and the crooked hat and like the big caboose. Like, you know, it's got to be
It's got to be a big caboose.
I know. I really want like the Looney Tunes witch. You know the
I
one?
think she's so scary.
She's brilliant. Like, that's a fucking witch.
Yeah. Anyway,
Pink caboose.
so big thumbs down on Fear Street.
I didn't love it.
For me, it's kind of like it's like a thumb sideways, and I'm like Joaquin Phoenixing it from like Gladiator.
Really? Because it sounded like you didn't like this at all.
I wasn't paying attention enough to hate on it.
Okay. I
Like
understand
Niamh was.
that.
Niamh was like, she had the lights off, and she was like,
And she had like her hands on her temples being like,
I don't like this.
Look, they put lesbians on a plate. I'm going to eat that dinner, but I'm also going to judge it.
you're also going to shit it out.
John, no!
I'm sorry. Okay, John, can we leave my thing till last and you do one more of yours?
Sure.
Your thing is so weird.
Guys, I watched Kevin Can Fuck Himself.
I've seen the trailer for this and I am intrigued.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was kind of like, okay, I have seen the trailer. I think I get it. Like, I get it. I'm not sure I need to actually watch this. I get the joke. And now I have watched a couple of episodes and I did not get it, I don't think.
What is this? I have no idea what this is.
Oh,
Okay,
it's such
so
a good idea.
The best way to explain it is like, imagine like a King of Queens style comedy.
Where
It's like a three
yeah.
camera setup. It's like saturated colors. You have flat set backgrounds. You have the husband and Niamh. He's a lovable rascal and he's got crazy schemes and he's an idiot. And then you have his bizarrely far more attractive, more competent but loving wife.
There are so many of these like sitcoms.
Everybody
from the,
loves Raymond.
Yeah.
the one with Jim Belushi, according to Jim, and it's always like a schlub husband,
Yeah.
and then like attractive wife that is completely out of his league.
King of the Hill. Peggy. I'm joking. No, I'm not joking.
A Peggy and Hank.
Hank Hill is fucking brilliant.
I love Hank Hill, but he is schlubby compared to Peggy.
They look like brother and sister.
Yeah, she does have a killer instinct, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah.
She's just way too
I
good for
gotta-
him. I like Hank, but Peggy's just too good for him.
My favorite bit of Hank Hill is
Peggy Hill.
Do you guys
of all the like animated wives, are gonna go with Peggy Hill.
I am.
do you guys ever see that bit with Hank Hill where there's like a power tool and he wants to put it on his shelf and he puts on some goggles, picks up the power tool, puts it on the shelf, and then takes off the goggles.
You have to fucking respect the tool.
Anyway, okay, that's your sick. Like canned laughter. This is a sitcom.
Okay.
Kevin, the husband, then leaves the room.
I can't believe they even call him Kevin, like
Yep.
Kevin James.
And everything changes and it's not a sitcom anymore. Now everything about the look and feel of the show is like a gritty drama, and this woman, now the star, is his wife, and it is like she is fucking miserable. She hates her husband. He is an absolute piece of shit, and then he'll come back into the room and it turns back into a sitcom.
That's interesting. That's cool.
And it is like I saw the trailer and I was like, this is a good gimmick. I don't know if that makes a good story, but to me this is so much more than a gimmick. Like to me this like it is fucking powerful when you see like the husband will do something really stupid, like the first episode is like she's like, please don't, be careful of my table, this is the only nice thing I own, it's from Pottery Barn, don't break my table from Pottery Barn. And then like the whole episode happens and right at the end he like collapses on the table or something and it breaks and it's like canned laughter and everyone's like, oh whatever. And then he leaves and the whole film style changes and it's just her in this dark, horrible, desaturated room staring at her broken table in like silence for like 5 seconds. It's fucking devastating. And they say so much with switching these visual styles, and like they switch everything. Like they switch cameras, they switch lenses, they switch like the color grading. So like their house looks real like cartoony and fun in the sitcom sections, but then when they switch to the live action sections, it's like the most dreary, depressing place where there's just like shadows in every corner. And so at the end of the first episode, this woman is like, I'm going to fucking murder my husband. And it is, I think it's fascinating. Like it is really, really weird. And like there's things that I'm so interested in, because like when we're in the sitcom reality, and they do feel like sitcom realities because you never see her husband outside that. It's like there's 3 other characters, just like his dad, their neighbor, and their neighbor's brother. And their neighbor is a woman who like she's one of the guys, you know. Mm-hmm. But then like this woman starts encountering her neighbor outside the sitcom reality, and she's like, "You fucking hate him too, don't you?" And they get into some messy drug antics, and it's like part of it is like them learning to kind of become friends, even though they really don't like each other initially. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting because like she will tell stories about Kevin, and when they're outside the sitcom reality, it sounds horrible. Like she tells this story about how he got really jealous when she was a paralegal and filled her boss's car with sugar. And it's like just this really terrible, controlling thing to do. But you could also completely see how that would have been an episode of a sitcom. And I think it really brings to light the weird framing about a lot of this, like, really subtle but casual out there, like, misogyny of those shows. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, well, like, I guess shows like The Honeymooners back in, like, one of the original sitcoms is just a domestic abuse show reel. Like, it's vicious.
Like, this dude, Kevin, is, like, he has taken this, like, bright, interesting woman and dragged her down into this life of just nothing, and she is so unhappy, and it's really interesting.
That sounds great. Like, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah,
what an interesting way of using just like style.
Yeah, because the show's only like a mini series. It's only like 6 episodes long, isn't it?
There's currently 6 episodes out. It's going for 8.
8. That's enough.
Yeah.
At least for a season, that's enough to kind of tell a story.
I am so excited. The thought that you ever will see Kevin outside the sitcom world and see what he really is. Because I think like the sitcom is how he sees his reality. Mm-hmm. And then like his reality and her reality are so different. But like what a fucking amazing way to like come at a relationship, you know? And I think it's awesome. Really awesome. I'm like 4 episodes in, and like it is kind of a slow burn. Like, you know, it's like the plot, this is not Breaking Bad. Like the plot moves forward quite slowly. Like the last episode was, you know, they were going on a car trip to get Oxycontin, and
oh no,
man, they met some really scary swamp people. But like I think part of it as well is like it would not work if they weren't actually nailing the sitcom part and the drama part. Because like the sitcom, it's not a bad sitcom in that you could easily mistake it for an episode of King of Queens or Everybody Loves Raymond. Like it's that level. But because of that, because like there's this sort of irony to it, I find the sitcom parts really fucking funny because they know what they're doing. And like the sitcom section don't blink.
Yeah.
Like they never wink at the camera. Mm-hmm. It's just a sitcom, and then it cuts and it's a drama. And like the drama is so beautifully shot. Like it is one of the most well shot TV shows I've seen in a while. And the fact that they are both executed so flawlessly makes the contrast between them just so interesting. Like there are so many shots when it goes from sitcom reality to drama reality, and it fucking hits you. Like it's like it, because you're just yucking up this stupid fucking sitcom, and then you see the effect it has on her just through the visual change, and it's awesome. I think it's really, really good. Would recommend.
Cool. Definitely gonna watch it. It sounds great.
Yeah.
Brian.
I went to the cinema and I saw Fast and the Furious 9.
I'm so confused because before the episode we were like, okay, we won't talk about Fast and the Furious, and then you're like, we will. And okay.
Niamh, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
Okay, the next episode we are going to go spoiler deep into Fast and the Furious 9.
Cool, I'm down.
For now, let's just talk about the franchise as a whole. Niamh and I are huge fans of the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Hell yeah.
We've seen essentially all the films, or, you know, and those films have been going 20 years now. The original came out in summer 2001. And so we've grown up with those films, and what started out as a simple B movie about underground street racing where they steal DVD players from a truck.
That's so quaint now, isn't it? It's so cute.
We're the better part of 10 films later. Technically 11 if you include the spin-offs, and the non-canon prequel.
Okay, there's Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay. So there are 9 official Fast and the Furious films. There are a couple short films that were marketing stunts and also shown before other movies in advance to explain stuff. Because you know how there's other movie franchises, let's say like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is probably a good example, where it's definitely made by committee, whereas or like Star Wars has that feel as well, whereas with Fast and the Furious, they just make it up as they go along, and you can tell, but the retconning they do is so fun that you're just along for the ride. But they started off as like B movies that were just kind of like about an FBI guy who joins an underground street racing gang to kind of rat them out, but then he
falls in love with the culture,
falls in love with the culture,
people.
and now all of a sudden he is family, and that's the theme, and that's not subtext.
Yeah, they get the cop out of the cop game.
Yeah, and almost every one of these movies ends with a barbecue where they have a big table outdoors in the back garden. They're all drinking Corona, and Vin Diesel does a toast, "Salud Familia." Every fucking film, and there's interchangeable members of the crew, and the first 3 films are their own thing. There's just the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, and then Fast and the Furious 3 Tokyo Drift, and they're all made by different filmmakers, essentially, and Vin Diesel isn't in the second one. None of the original cast are in the third one, except for a cameo by Vin Diesel at the very end of the movie. Tokyo Drift is one of my favorites, actually.
Definitely. It's like, if in my top 3, it's in there.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely in my top 3. And that's about a dude from Alabama that moves to Tokyo, and he's meant to be 17, and like John, he's wearing a school uniform, like he's dressed like...
I've seen Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, and like Bow Wow's there, like
with his Hulk car.
Yeah, with the Hulk car.
Oh, so good.
And that one's directed by Justin Lin, and Justin Lin is a director who ended up directing a bunch of the Fast and Furious films, and he's the one that kind of assembled a loose canon and ended up going, okay, if we get all of these characters, they can be like a heist crew / like easygoing mercenaries that use muscle cars. And that's eventually turned into this weird franchise where for the last couple of films, they've stopped hackers from taking over satellites that would control world domination. And they're no longer stealing DVD players.
I love that it's DVD players, because what you know when you got your first DVD player or PlayStation 2, you were like,
shit.
yeah, I'm gonna watch this perfect blue DVD
in my bedroom. So my favorite Fast and the Furious movies are, number 1 superstar favorite is Fast and Furious 7.
Okay.
Then it's Fast and Furious 9. I really
Really?
Oh,
9 is your second favorite?
I really
Are you
enjoy
just like, do you need to sit with this for a while? Are you
Okay,
like riding
okay.
the high of
Bryan,
this? Because you just seen this
you're
yesterday.
saying some big words here.
I'm quoting it right now in July 2021. This is my second favorite Fast and Furious film. It's bumped out the 5th one.
Oh my god, okay.
Then my third one, ironically and unironically, is Tokyo Drift, because like it's an important film.
I remember having fun with that movie.
That soundtrack alone just like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it gets a lot of points.
What do we got on the soundtrack?
Oh, it's just the classic Tokyo Drift theme song. My top 3 would be similar to Bryan's. It's like 5, then 7, and then Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, and like 8 came out like a year or 2 ago, and that's fine, but it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I've heard the gimmick of 9 is magnets.
Oh yeah,
What was the gimmick of 8?
submarine.
Okay, in a little bit, I want you to film by film tell me the gimmick of each one.
Okay. So, but I need to stress Justin Lin as a director did such a good job of like creating a path for these movies, making a road for them to drive upon. So he's an Asian American film director. He made a film called Better Luck Tomorrow in the early 2000s that stars an actor called Sung Kang, and he plays a character in it called Han Solo. Seoul is in Seoul from South Korea because he's a Korean actor, South Korean guy. And Han Solo is in a film called Better Luck Tomorrow. Han Solo is also a character in Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. So technically this other film is part of the Fast and the Furious canon.
Okay.
And the way the timeline works, John, right? Fast and the Furious 1. Now, I'm not going to name the films correctly by their actual
It's
title.
okay. That's okay.
Okay, Fast and Furious 1, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious 4, Fast and Furious 5, Fast and Furious 6. Okay,
Just we're at 6, and Tokyo Drift hasn't happened yet.
Tokyo Drift happens between 6 and 7. Now, Tokyo Drift was made in 2006, but it's meant to take place in 2016, despite them using flip phones. Because the retcon they do, because Han Solo, who's a key character in the crew, in the family, dies in the towards the end of the second act of Tokyo Drift, the third movie. At the end of the sixth movie, they rephrased the events and revealed that Jason Statham's character botched his car accident and that it was an assassination attempt and that Jason Statham killed him because Jason Statham is the brother of the bad guy from the sixth movie.
So Jason Statham killed Han.
Yeah. And he's Shaw in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his brother, who's the other Shaw, is the main villain of the fifth movie. Let's
put Hobbs and Shaw off to the side. I can't carry that right now.
Okay, so the first movie, Underground Street Racing DVD players. I guess the theme of that is DVD players.
Oh, I have seen the second one.
Second one is about Paul Walker. Paul Walker is the protagonist of these movies. He plays a guy called Bryan.
Is that why you like these films, Brian?
We'll get to Bryan. It's not funny, John.
Okay.
It's not.
A man died. Niamh, why are you laughing?
No, because I agree with you.
Oh my God,
It
Niamh.
was a nervous
Oh my
reaction.
I think we need to leave this bit in because I think everyone needs
Oh
to
my
see.
God.
No, it was a nervous laugh.
It was a nervous
A candid laughter. Too Fast, Too Furious does not star Vin Diesel. It stars Bryan, and he's in Miami because the first one takes place in LA. The second one takes place in Miami, and Bryan is with Tyrese Gibson, and it's a buddy comedy about two guys undercover with the street racing there, and Ludacris is part of the street racing, and so Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris are in it, but they're kind of planted because they're going to come back later in the sequels.
Is this where he meets like Jordana Brewster's character, and this is where their romance takes place?
Well, no, because she's in the first one.
She's in the first one.
No, because the first one he goes and he wants, I'd like a tuna sub, and she's like, sure. And then you find out that her and Dom are brother and sister, and he's like, stay away. And he was like, no man, he was in my face, and he was like, I'm in your face. And then there's that meme where Paul Walker is Vin Diesel's face.
Oh, that was a big college humor meme.
Yeah.
Sorry to throw you off, Brian.
Then the third film takes place in Tokyo and has nothing to do with anything, and it stars a guy from Alabama.
So hang on, sorry. So Tokyo Drift, it is canon, but at that point it had nothing to do with the other two movies.
Until the very end of the movie,
second, yeah.
the last second, when there's an underground street race in a car park in Tokyo, and the windscreen comes down, and Vin Diesel is the other racer, and it's like, I heard you're a pretty good racer. And the main guy, who we don't need to talk about anymore, who's supposed to be 17, but it's obviously a man in his late 20s playing a 17-year-old boy from Alabama and Tokyo. And he's like, okay. Then the fourth one is a soft reboot of the franchise, and this came out in 2009. Then the fifth one is the first one that stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And the fifth one...
Now, when you say stars...
He's like the DEA agent that is trying to catch them.
Yeah.
So is he a bad guy?
He's a bad guy. So
this is... But like, John, this is like anime where like bad guys become good guys.
Yeah, they take the cops and they make them family.
Okay. Does Vin Diesel fight The Rock?
Yes.
Who wins?
Yeah.
Well, they had a whole pile of contracts about they couldn't lose to each other. Was that it?
I know that's the case now.
Yeah.
But I think
Dom wins. Like Vin
Dom,
Diesel wins.
I wouldn't believe that for a second.
No,
John. The way, okay, so like
that's the fucking Rock.
John.
No.
WrestleMania main event 3 times.
John, this is...
He's beat multiple wrestlers.
Look, he doesn't know anything about Fast and Furious. He doesn't get Dom. He doesn't get Vin
Shut the
Diesel.
fuck up, Niamh.
He just doesn't get it.
Okay.
He's just like
I don't
in
like
his
your shitty
stupid
car
little,
movie.
like, baby wrestling mode. It's Dom. Dom wins.
Okay, so the way Dominic Toretto works is that he is a supporting actor in the earlier half of this franchise. And these movies at the beginning reek of toxic masculinity. It's just angry car bros. And you know the way here in Ireland we had a big problem with boy racer culture?
And girl racers.
And girl racers. And like the reason none of us know how to drive is because because in our teens to get insurance was insane because of the amount of boy racers causing harm to themselves and others.
Multiple, like I think we all know multiple people.
And unfortunately, the Fast and the Furious franchise sort
really
of
played into that.
played into this
well,
culture.
no, it didn't play into that, but it happened to be adjacent, and they fed off it.
Yeah, but the thing is, in the 2010s, they made like 5 Fast and the Furious movies, or maybe 6, and they just sort of redirected it into espionage action movies with like stunts and kind of took out the toxic masculinity, alpha male, super heterosexual bullshit. And Dominic Toretto as a character develops into this super sincere patriarch, and he's honestly one of the most like well-rounded male protagonists I've ever seen in a film.
It's true.
It's a shame that you guys have set me up to hate him so much.
You will love Dom by the end
Yeah,
of this
how
movie.
does anyone watch these movies and hate Dom?
Like, he has a son called Bryan, named after his best friend, Bryan. And do you know what he calls his son when he's affectionate with him? Lil B. I melted. Fucking amazing. I love Dom. And like the way Dom works is the only other character I've seen this work with is Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece. Is that Dom's power, okay, is he's an angry car man, okay? And that's his power. And he's physically strong. And like Vin Diesel is 53 years old. And like in the canon now, according to the 5th one, he is in his early 50s.
Okay.
Because they do flashbacks and they timestamp it and then they timestamp the present. And he's canonically in his early 50s and they are leaning into it. And yeah, he is only now just a dad, but he has collected all these other people. But like Vin Diesel, Dom Toretto's character is, he will beat someone in a race or in a physical like fight. And there's always a point where it's like, okay, you've won and I will give you my card that I won in a race, or you can take the lead. But Vin Diesel's character, Dom, will always go, no, let's do this together. And he humbles himself and shows a vulnerability that the person he's opposing to allies himself with him. And so he's really, really good at collecting people in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like Luffy in One Piece does the same thing, where he's able to unite people that wouldn't normally be together into a found family.
I think I now know what it's like for you guys when I do Wrestle Talk.
Like there's
This
so
is
much
so much better than
there-
Wrestle Talk.
I know, but like John Cena's in the new one. Like there's so
Yeah.
much wrestling adjacent stuff in these movies
I don't
because
want to
they're
get
pulling from the
too
same.
much into 9, but how is John Cena in it?
They use them effectively.
Okay.
I like
And Charlize?
Charlize. I think she shot her scenes in one day, and
okay.
she's having a good time. She has a haircut in this film that you will appreciate, Niamh.
You know, there's this thing with kind of like butchy lesbian haircuts where they try and do them, but they're like, they don't want to make someone too unpretty, I'm doing air quotes, so they do it wrong. Like they give it too much length, and it just kind of goes into the other territory, which I would probably call a Karen territory. So like there's this fine line with short gay haircuts specifically for white women that can cross into a bad territory. And from what I've seen from the posters, and I know Charlize Theron can pull off a good short haircut because she's beautiful and she's Charlize Theron. But
She's Aeon Flux.
she the Aeon Flux.
Remember Aeon Flux?
I like that series a lot. I remember that was one of the first animated things where it was just like, animation's fucking weird. I like this.
Oh, I love Peter Chung. He's a cool director.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her, and hopefully her hair lands on the good side of gay hairs.
She has some good one-liners in this film, and she really schools some people with her words. Okay, so John, one word like summations of each film. Okay. So the first one, DVD player combi television units. Mm-hmm. Second movie, speedboat. Okay. Third movie, Hulk car.
Yeah.
Fourth movie, reboot. Fifth movie.
Sorry, Brian. By the fourth movie, are we getting into the spy shit?
No.
Okay, so
No,
just
that's
street.
5.
We're still street racing.
Yeah.
Five is when it's become like globe-hopping espionage.
Okay.
And now it's normal in these films for them to visit like 4 different continents.
So that was the gimmick for 5, but now it's just the series?
Yeah, because like they have to keep... I don't want to give spoilers away for 9, but anyone who's seen 9 understands they've had to, like... To get to where they've gone makes sense. Makes complete fucking sense. Okay, so the 5th one, The Rock. Okay?
Yeah.
What more do you need?
6th one, I guess it's just timeline resolved. The 7th one, that Y drive in the that Y fork in the road. With the
yeah.
God,
No,
that bit was so fucking good.
I think
Like the
white
7
fork is kind of difficult.
Okay, the 7th one is just masterpiece. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like John. It's just like I can hype up the 7th one as much as I want. It's gonna be you're gonna be tears. You won't. I don't know.
I probably won't watch it.
The 8th movie, absolutely submarine, and then like the 9th one, without spoilers, is magnets. But there's another word, but magnets. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Hobbs and Shaw is Idris Elba, and then they're
So Idris Elba only exists in Hobbs and Shaw?
yeah, because.
Is he the bad guy in that?
Yeah, and he basically plays like a comic book villain. Like Hobbs and Shaw is a comic book movie.
Okay. And who are Hobbs and Shaw? One is Jason Statham.
The other one is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
How did they mess that up?
And like these movies like are live action cartoons, and like it is normal for them to be like, okay, we got to plan a heist, and they will. An airplane will fly over and cars will drop out of the plane with parachutes. They will land on the road and then take over like a big truck and retrieve the package.
7 I would probably classify as like skyscraper hopping.
Yeah,
that
that bit in
sounds
Abu
fun.
Dhabi is so good.
It's very good.
Dubai, sorry, yeah.
I probably will watch this. So can I just watch 7?
Yeah, I think if you watch 7 without context, it's even better.
Okay.
I don't...
It's a scream. Come on,
I
that
would
film,
say 5 then 7, but if you want to just watch one of them, 7 is your one.
like 5 is just a really, really solid action movie
I
that
think
does
there's
a lot.
just some
that
part
does
of my
everything
brain that's like...
But that's the one with The Rock, and like they have good fight scenes.
right. But the Rock has that line in the 7th movie where he's like, "I'm gonna put a hurting on him so hard, his mama gonna wish she kept her legs closed."
Whoa!
But like, what does that mean to you without them fighting in the 5th one?
That's true. And several characters have died, like fictional characters have died, and then they have funerals for them, and then they come back and they either have memory loss or they've had
Guys,
to be.
we've been talking about Fast and the Furious for so fucking long.
But then other characters who've actually died are still alive canonically in the films out of respect. It's amazing.
It's great. It's a masterpiece of movie making. We'll talk about this in greater and lengthier detail next episode when I watch F9.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
I don't know why you're thanking me.
Because you're going to watch all these movies.
I feel like I already have.
I think we should have Coronas.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys want to start street racing and talking about how we're family, I could get on board with that. Okay, I'll probably watch 5 and 7 at some point, and 6 is not necessary because at that point, am I like,
You can watch them in any order, to be honest, as well. It's kind of one of those films where like they're so formulaic, and the last 3 films have been about stopping a hacker. Like the stories aren't the strongest points. It's just the beats.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the set pieces are amazing.
5 and 7 for just crazy set pieces.
Yeah.
okay. Quicktime Events.
It's good. I'm so happy we got to talk about Fast and Furious.
Me too, Bryan.
Oh.
Video games. Time for the video game part. How long are we in? We are just a good hour. I played a game called Lilies, Quietus of the Nights. This just came out. I think it was in a early access phase at the beginning of the year, but it's just come out on Steam and on Switch, which is the 2 platforms apparently. A lot of these
Yeah,
games.
a lot of stuff is coming out those two.
Steam and or Switch interchangeably.
I think it's because indies are meant to do real well on Switch.
And the architecture for the Switch is very accessible, which is great because the Wii U was not. This is an indie Japanese game developed by two studios. I don't know who the primary studio is, but it's developed by AdGlobe and Livewire, and it is a Metroidvania with light RPG elements and very, very light Souls elements. Very, very light. And this aesthetically feels like a Vanillaware game, sort of like Muramasa or Odin Sphere.
That level of visuals?
In terms of the visuals and the way the map works.
Oh, cool.
Because it doesn't have the Metroidvania pixel grid map or a kind of artistic map like you have with Hollow Knight, or what's the other one? The one I like. Came out last year and had a sequel.
Oh, this is pretty... Wow.
I love Metroidvanias, but I always forget the name of the games. God, I'm kicking myself.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We both played it. The one with the girl, and she has a scarf or something?
No, the one I'm talking about is the one made by Moon Studios, and I know the studio that make it. It was an Xbox exclusive, the first one.
Anyway.
I need to...
Bryan, you're breaking your flow.
I am breaking my flow. Okay, I'll call
Ori?
back. Ori and the Blind Forest, yeah. I love Metroidvanias. This so far is a very enjoyable Metroidvania, but it's using the map style of Muramasa or Odin Sphere and the visuals. And it's very difficult, but when you die, it's very convenient.
Forgiving.
Absolutely. You die with your experience and everything you gathered.
And so when you're dying a lot, is it like, here's this pit of spikes, or is it, here's this hard enemy?
Enemies. And they're very, very calculating about their enemy placement. It honestly feels like it was very well play tested.
Oh, cool.
And you play as a little girl in a white dress, and she can't attack. All she could do is jump and dodge. But she has the power of healing, and she heals fallen warriors, and she uses their ghosts as attacks and debuffs and extra jumps.
Weird. And so, like, are you controlling the ghosts?
You're controlling her, and then the ghosts are just mapped to a button.
Huh.
And they're just an attack prompt.
Okay.
It's fairly standard Dark Souls lore in that it's a kingdom that was once prosperous that is now fallen, and you're walking through the remnants, and the lore is explained to you piece by piece as you find objects in the land. And there is a curse upon this land, and you are healing it, but maybe you are also responsible for it. You know,
yeah,
it's one of those games.
Yeah, a Souls game.
Yeah, a Souls game, but it doesn't have the harsh cruelty of a Souls game. Like the game is difficult, but like it doesn't punish you.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. In that, like when you get set back to where you were, like it's got good checkpointing, and it will checkpoint you back with all your experience. Like there's nothing you need to collect like you do with something like Hollow Knight. And so it's got an interesting balance that way. And the game is definitely long because you do have to chip away, because like you are gonna have to just learn off the environment and learn how to tackle each enemy step by step because of where their placements are. But so far I'm having a lot of fun. I'm only about 5 hours in, and it's kind of hard to tell how big this game is. But it costs 25 quid, so I'm kind of expecting it to be around over the 10-hour mark, I'd say.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like I'm curious to how you feel about it at the end of it.
Yeah.
Guys, I beat Chicory.
Oh, cute.
I've just started this. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. I was really enjoying it for, I'd say, the first 2 or 3 hours. But I think after a while for me, the kind of gimmick of the gameplay just couldn't really carry it through to like an 8.5 hour game. Because I kind of found like it has a lot of cute moments. You know, it has moments like someone's like, hey, design me a t-shirt, and you draw a little picture for a t-shirt. And then like they wear the t-shirt, and then other villagers start wearing the t-shirt. And little moments like that are really kind of fun and surprising. It can kind of only get you with that so many times. You know what I mean? Like it'll ask you to design a donut, or design a logo for a pizza place, or paint a painting. And it kind of like, you know, the controls, you're not going to be making anything super nice because you're drawing with a right analog stick. And like, I think that the stick feels good. Like
it does.
There's a nice like inertia to it and stuff. But unless you're crazy, you're probably not going to like do that much. And so then like I found a lot of the actual gameplay, especially the further in I got, the more it felt like the painting was kind of just like your gameplay verb. So you don't jump on this switch, you don't shoot this switch, you paint the switch. And there's some interesting stuff. Like there's one dungeon where you kind of have to like draw a trail for these enemies to like follow around, and they'll like follow your paint trail and stuff. Like that's kind of interesting. But then it also led to a lot of puzzles where you know how to solve the puzzle, but the controls are just finicky enough that they don't.
That's a bummer.
Niamh just made a face, and it's the exact face I feel with stuff like this, where it's like do you find that, Bryan? Like the controls, they're not like precise.
An NPC told me if you click in the right stick, you can zoom in on the canvas. That made the precision stuff a lot easier. But if you're on like the full wide,
see, the problem is
canvas,
it's like you have to get across this entire screen. So you have to take this bug over to this platform, get off, push this ball onto this platform. So you have to kind of nearly be paying attention to everything.
It's very finicky.
And it gets really, really finicky. And it definitely got to a point where I was more amused by Chicory than I was entertained by it.
Do you think if it was shorter, you would have liked it better?
I think so. And I think, like, what I found really interesting about the game was the story, because it ends up being about, like, you know, what is art? You know, and especially it kind of becomes a lot about how the expectations of other people can crush your ability to make art that's important to you, which I think is awesome. And like they go there, you know, I kind of wish they'd maybe gone a little deeper, but I understand there's a tone they wanted to keep as well. But it was cool seeing a game about that. And have you gotten to any of the boss battles, Bryan?
Just the first one, which was a cool boss battle, but I'm just at the beginning of the first dungeon.
All the boss battles are cool. Like, they're all really cool. They all have really good music, and I find like they're the moments that the gameplay does kind of shine, because like you have to like keep dragging your paintbrush across this boss, and it is difficult, but like it's a fight, and it's
and the fact that you're controlling the character with one stick and the paintbrush with the other stick.
Yeah,
there's that juggling as well, which is interesting.
yeah. Like, and I kind of think that's interesting. It's like playing as that Blazblue character who has the puppet.
Yeah,
and I thought that was really interesting. But like, those are the only moments of combat in the entire thing as well. The rest of it's kind of puzzle solving.
There was one puzzle I did enjoy where it's a ball that you need to roll as the dog, but then you need to detonate with the paintbrush, and so it's kind of like, you know, the way in video games sometimes you have to roll a snowball, and it's that like, and it has to react to you, and you have to. It's
good that you enjoyed that puzzle, because there's a lot of them.
Great.
And sometimes it's kind of like, oh, you popped it too early. Back to the start of the screen.
The worst is when it gets caught in a little corner because they've just designed like a little tight wedge in the alcove, and you have to like finagle yourself in and pop it out.
But I also think the side quests in this are probably worth checking out, because I didn't do like I just wasn't that in love with the game, so I was like, okay, let's beat this. But I did do one which is basically like you have to figure out who robbed an art gallery. And I was really surprised at like the effort that went into that side quest, because like you meet all these characters who you never would have met otherwise, and they all have like little animations, and like the game is gorgeous. Like the game is the character illustrations are just so beautiful. There's a really cool bat, and like little moments like that are good. To me, like it is a nice little game that has a lot of issues, and I enjoyed it, but I think unless I know someone's temperament, like Bryan, I think you'll like this game better than I did. And I feel good recommending it to you. A lot of people seem to like it and not have the same issues I did, but yeah, I kind of, it's like you were saying, Bryan, I kind of finished off with your kind of shaky in the middle. Like, yeah, it's okay.
I got you.
I was going to pick this up, but now I'm a little like, because I was on the fence before when you said it was how long it was.
You see, I also like...
This game's going to be on sale so quick as well.
I don't know that you... I think this kind of gameplay, I think, would piss you off a bit, Niamh, because it's kind of like finicky 2D.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a sale game
You'll
for me,
play
I
2D
think.
games, but you like them to be tight. Mm-hmm. And I also think, like, I think the general tone will probably be a little too twee for you.
Yeah. I keep thinking of like Game of the Year and like wanting to play as many games. All three of us get our hands on it, and I was just like, is Chicory one that I need to play?
So like I saw the Kotaku article where like someone's like, Chicory's Game of the Year contender. Like
Yeah.
I find
for like a publication like that. Yeah.
I
Like, come on.
I find that like very difficult. It's charming. It is charming, but as like a solid game, it's like it has cool ideas, but the only thing I think it pulls off like to a really good degree is its art style, and some of the characters are really, really expressive, like from the drawings, and the writing's decent.
There's a capybara in it, and he looks fucking brilliant.
Yeah, there's a lot of very cool surprise. Like sometimes you'd be like, I never would have thought to draw a warthog that way.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I'd have trouble recommending it, I think. Niamh.
I have no trouble recommending Boomerang X.
It's on the Switch.
This is an indie game that is on the Switch and Steam.
Of course it is, yeah. It's where they belong.
The two platforms.
Boomerang X is a first-person shooter boomerang game.
Hell yeah.
But it also has a lot of mystery around it. It's really interesting. It's in first person, so you wake up on a beach and all you see is your hands and your forearms, and they're all wrapped up. So I like to imagine you're a mummy, and you go into the next room and you find a boomerang. And this is a short game, maybe around 3 to 4 hours, maybe less, depending on how well you play. But a third of it is tutorial, because every arena you go into, you are given a new thing to experiment with and play with in that arena, and then it adds to your kind of gameplay.
Brilliant.
And it's never boring. It asks of you just the right amount at that time. And like when you're playing it, you're like, oh, it'd be really cool if I'd be able to do this, and next arena you go into, more than likely you're probably going to get that. So the first arena I went into, I just have my boomerang, and it's a throw, so it's a trigger throw with the right trigger. And you play a first-person shooter, you want to strafe so other things aren't hitting you, and you only have one hit because you've only one life. So I'm strafing, but the boomerang can't get back to you if you're moving, because you have to stand still to get the boomerang to come back to you, because that's how boomerangs work. And I was just like, oh man, that's going to really change how I like do first-person gameplay.
That's cool.
But then
because you're completely vulnerable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So next room I go into, they give me a recall. So I can throw it and then recall it back really quickly. That takes that kind of issue away. Next room I go into, they give me a teleportation, which allows me to throw my boomerang into the air and then allows me to port to where my boomerang
That's
can
fucking
be.
cool.
And next room again, they give me a slow down time function, but it only works when I'm holding the boomerang. So you are essentially, by the time you're midway in this game, it becomes a don't touch the floor, like floor is lava kind of game, where you are popping through the air, flying, pulling yourself to your boomerang, throwing it, making sure you're not hitting off certain things that will damage you. And it is wave-based gameplay, so you have like around 7 waves to beat, and there's certain enemies that you have to dispatch in that area. So it's just like frantic air-walking first-person shooter gameplay. And it's so fun. It's like such fun gameplay. And then the world around it is, I'm going to call this first-person shooter Hollow Knight. It's a bug-based world where there's all these statues of insects and loads of mystery. And you're
sounds like Hollow Knight.
You're delving deeper through doors into the world, and you meet a millipede called Teppan, who's just like, I'm also kind of a mystery adventurer here in this space. I've never seen someone else. It's cool that you're here. Good luck on your travels. And you meet Teppan every now and then. And it kind of does this thing where, you know, you're kind of moving through this mysterious space and you're like, wow, I can't wait to understand this world more. And then you meet Teppan and he's like in the library and he's just like, there's loads of fun paper to eat here.
Yeah.
So it alludes to this history but doesn't really give you any more of it because you're a stranger in this world along with another stranger and you're just kind of passing through it. So it has enough like fun lore with crazy gameplay that keeps being built upon, and you just start feeling like just a dangerous dancer, like a dervish, like throwing your boomerang everywhere and slicing things up and moving and never touching the ground. And it was really fun. I played it for 3 hours in a go one rainy evening, and I was just like, I love Boomerang X. This is great.
That's cool.
That's really good. Are the visuals like low poly 3D, or is it,
low poly 3D.
Okay, so it's got it definitely has an aesthetic to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And it's all like cool little bugs. You're like fighting a spider, and you're fighting like a moth. And then all of a sudden, I looked up and I had like a Shadow of the Colossus moment with an enemy, and I was just like, "Holy shit, that's huge!"
Oh, that's cool. Okay,
That's great.
this seems like it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like I picked it up on a whim, and I was just like, "This is what I like." Like when we talk about indie games, a lot of the time I don't particularly play them because it's usually 2D and maybe Metroidvanias and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, where's the first person shooter indies? And here we have one. Like, and it was nice to kind of get that indie feel with a gameplay style that like kind of I connect with.
There's a ton of them, but a lot of them are on the PC.
Exactly. Yeah. But I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. It's €20 on the Switch. The Switch struggled a little bit because it's wave based and you have a lot of enemies. Like, you have the type of enemy that like launches out other enemies and it'll keep going until you kill that enemy.
Yeah.
There can be a lot on screen in one go, and it's very like vertical. So you are like, and you're throwing this and you're slowing down time. So a lot is going on, and some of the later levels I felt, and
It's
I was
chugging.
and I was playing docked. Like the Switch was chugging.
Great. Oh dear.
Cool.
That's the Switch, all right.
And how much of it have you played?
I finished it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like around, as I said, 3 to 4 hours. So like, and like I played it all in one go. I was really into it. I just left the last level.
Oh, 3 to 4 hour games.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a fun
perfect.
evening.
And I had a new game plus, and I went straight into it.
Yeah,
it was
I
just so
love
fun.
that.
But it's great. It's like it's fun. It's novel. It keeps its mystery, But the ending was cute. Definitely worth your time, especially if you like first-person shooter gameplay.
Cool. Bryan,
Yes.
Sky, Children of the Light.
Oh my god.
Oh, we're going in for something real good or real bad.
It's a bad game.
Oh no.
Oh my god, it's a bad game.
Okay.
So we're halfway through the year, and like you said, we were talking about Game of the Year, and like this is going to be on the 2021 Game of the Year list, and like there are 3 games this year that are bad games, and they're going to be getting cut real quick. There was that Maquette game that was a PS Plus game. Like, oh, fuck that game. There was some other game recently.
Bryan, I noticed you're always pretty passionate about like the first couple of cuts.
Oh, yeah.
It's symbolic.
Yeah. You got some shit to say.
Because they're the bad games. And you're like, fuck 'em. And then the middle games, you're like, I can try to think of something good or bad to say about these ones. At least with the bad ones, you're like, I can pinpoint exactly where the bad is.
I think for the last couple of years, at least 2 of us go into like the bad games with like, we got shit to settle with these games. I wonder, should we just have like a pool of bad games and no order, we can just cut them and then we start the good games.
Just like, let's fight a boss toilet extravaganza. We're going to flush these bad boys where they belong.
Hall of misery and shit.
No, there were some
I
other
don't mean to
bad
keep
games.
bringing up shit. I don't even like shit jokes.
There was some other bad game that I mentioned earlier this year.
There was something that made you miserable, alright? Anyway.
This is the 3rd misery game. whatever that
Third
second
in Bryan's trilogy misery.
whatever that second bad game was, this game has like occupied my brain for the last week and a half.
Oh, wow. So you're like gestating on this.
Oh yeah. So Sky, Children of the Light. This is a game made by That Game Company, who made a game called Journey, and Journey is a game I love.
Okay.
I was wondering because it kind of has that aesthetic to it. It's like little children in a cape.
All right, okay. So That Game Company had a staff exodus a couple years ago.
Okay.
They formed a studio called Giant Squid, who made 2 games, one called Abzu, one called The Pathless. Pathless is a game that I sang the praises of earlier this year. I get the feeling a lot of important staff who worked on Journey left That Game Company, formed their own studio, made a game called The Pathless, which is kind of a step up of Journey, and the staff remaining in That Game Company tried to recreate what they had already made and failed. And the name of this game is called Sky, Children of the Light. You play as a shape. A child. You're playing as the fucking thing from Journey, but it can sort of flap its wings.
It's little now.
It's a little child now. Okay? Okay, you are in abstract environments. Instead of it being a desert that you glide through, and I tell you, sometimes you are skimming through those sands. Rather now you were skimming through those clouds, and you were buoyant, and you have more of a X and Y axis because you dip and glide your sky child through the sky. But off in the distance, what is that? It is a castle, just like in fucking Journey. So this game came out on the Switch and it's free to play. And I'm like, oh, it's free, but it's free to play.
What? But
This was a mobile game originally, and when you pause the game, it has the UI of an Android game, and there you are greeted with all the customize options for your child with how much they cost. And I was like, oh, here we go. I hate these kind of games.
Why would you want to customize your child? Do you meet like it has multiplayer? Like,
Yeah, it's got an online
so
network.
what do you actually do?
It's whatever you do in Journey. You're going to the fucking tower and you're just curing the curse of the land.
But it doesn't have like the mystery and like beauty of Journey, or
like I think Journey, and I played Journey on the PS3 because I got a loan of PS3 like 10 years ago and I played it and I really enjoyed that game. And you know how there's that long debate of, well, especially in the late 2000s, of video games weren't art, and then like stuff by Studio Ico was being made, and then that game.
Well, someone made BioShock and proved everyone.
yeah. There's your fucking art. There you go.
That's pretty good.
That's my pun.
That was a banger.
Okay. But like to me, like Journey is like, here you go, like this is your art game, and this feels like, I can't believe the studio that made Journey made this, because this feels like a prototype made in dreams. Where someone has like emulated and it's still being figured out. But like I can't believe the people who made Journey made this, because it feels like it's not a step up. It fell through the fucking floor.
Wow.
It's
what is it about it? Like
if you just like, it controls bad. It has these button prompts where like sometimes because sometimes you need to interact with elements, and like you're just going along like you don't give a shit what you're doing. And like there are puzzles in this game. They're not puzzles. You're just like, it's like, oh, I need to cross this gap. Oh, I need to gain more boost, and now I can cross the gap. And you just do it by interacting. And like you will talk to like a depressed looking NPC, and you will follow the after image of its ghost, and it will explain, oh, this person was like a dad and his kids died. Oh, so sad. Like it's just it feels like, I know I'm being sarcastic, but like there is no way to take this game. Like it feels like it's a sarcastic attempt at a game that is Journey, made by the same people who made, like, it's embarrassing.
Wow.
Everyone should play this, and it's janky, and like sometimes it looks fine, but like this game is like,
I'm getting to the point now where like I'm like, well, I'm never touching this. Now I'm into like,
everybody should play this game because it's free, and you should, like, the game's like 1 gigabyte to download. Like, just download this, play for half an hour. Like, your fucking like player character will be like quivering on like because like it's so hard to go upstairs in this game, because it's one of those kind of games where like the character's like as they go up the stairs.
Wow. And
then eventually you learn how to double tap and fly, and like the character keeps trying to nosedive down, and you're just it's a wonky ass game. It's wonk.
Bad game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like, it's not the worst game I've played this year, but like it was enough that like the gameplay was like, oh, this doesn't feel good.
I think like just the cynicism of it as well, like just trying to recapture that magic with that studio seems to really bother you.
Yeah, because when I looked up screenshots, I was like, well, these people clearly like Journey, and knowing that it's like the studio that made Journey, it's a bit like, ooh, you know?
It's real embarrassing, and like I guarantee it's because a lot of key staff left and they're just tapped out.
Bryan, that's a shame. But hey, at least you got something to get angry about at the end of the year.
It's a shame, but you know what? Bad game.
Guys, I played the first like hour of Final Fantasy VII.
No, John, I've got the name here.
It's not intermission.
Okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake episode Intermission.
Oh my fucking god, Jesus Christ.
So you didn't get the PS5 upgrade?
I did.
Does that not make it Intergrade then?
So I think technically Intergrade
You still have to pay for Intermission.
Intergrade is the PS5 upgrade.
Okay.
That is free if you own the original game.
A disc copy, but not the PS Plus version that came out earlier this year.
Intermission is the Yuffie DLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I didn't get this straight away because I am so polarized on the Final Fantasy VII Remake still. I spent so much of that game loving it. I spent an admitted minority fucking hating it. But I wanted to give this a shot because I was curious, and I gotta say, right now, it is reminding me how much I enjoyed the first, like, 2/3 of that game. It is beautiful, like, at least in the kind of, like, concentrated parts where Final Fantasy VII Remake is beautiful. Yuffie's character model is, like, amazing.
Yeah, she's got cool design. I like her.
Really fucking cool design.
She's got some good accessories.
And you know what? Yuffie's kind of great so far. She's really, really fun. She keeps telling people that she's going to kick their ass. She is so into stealing materia. Like, she's borderline just salivating over the thought of taking people's materia, which is pretty funny. She's really into this board game. Do you guys... you never beat Final Fantasy VII, Bryan?
I've watched people beat it.
Do you know the Fort Condor section? Where Final Fantasy VII turns into a tower defense.
Yes.
That is now a low poly board game. But when I say low poly, it's like all these little physical pieces that look like the old Final Fantasy VII. Only played like one round of it. It looks cool. It looks really, really cool. The combat is great. It's still that absolutely fucking exceptional Final Fantasy VII Remake combat, and like the shit they do at Yuffie is really fun and weird. Basically, like, she can do her melee attacks, but then she can also throw her boomerang, and so she can attack from near or far. But if she throws her boomerang, her melee attacks become magic attacks, and so she can kind of attack people from far away, which was always kind of difficult to do unless you had like Barret in excuse me, the remake. But then you can also change her magic type, and so she's doing all her like Naruto shit, and like fire and stuff's coming out.
Cute.
And it feels amazing, and she is super cute. I think it's Morrigan from Persona's voice actor, and she just nails it. And
Morgana.
Morgana. The presentation really, really strong. It's like they have she loves doing magic tricks. She does magic tricks with materia. It's very difficult not to be charmed by it. Mm-hmm. I'm not far in. I want to have it beat by the next time we come back here.
Have you met the new guy? Like her?
Not yet.
Okay.
And Chadley's back. And I was like, oh.
Chadley, just the name Chadley is what gets me every time.
Chadley is like a fake name.
And there's parts of it that, like, they're so Final Fantasy VII, and they do, like, you know those fucking, like, weird fanboy Final Fantasy VII assholes? Like, I'm one of them, and it gets me. It's like, I met a robed dude, and I was like, and then he's like, no, va, and I'm like, and like, you know, that stuff gets me, and then something really weird will break it, like Yuffie getting attacked by a crowd of real-life pigeons. Like, not like Final Fantasy VII birds, just pigeons.
Like Planet Earth pigeons.
Planet Earth fucking pigeons.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh, like, what? And stuff like that, like, you know, that was kind of an issue I had with 7 Remake as well. Some of it is so Final Fantasy VII, and like, it is pandering, but fuck it. And then some of it feels so weird and off, like when you see the beautiful character model for Cloud, and then you walk by, like, you know, a H&M NPC. Shit like that. I'm having a good time with it. It's challenging in the same way that the remake was challenging, and it's cool. I guess we'll have to see. I'm worried that they nailed Yuffie so hard that they're gonna Nomura up the other character.
They're gonna kill him by the end. They'd have to.
Oh,
like, he's
I expect it.
Yeah, he's just...
But yeah, you know, I can't stress how much I'm enjoying Yuffie, because like Yuffie, in a lot of ways, barely in that original game. She does some cute stuff and she's fun, but like, she probably has less than 100 lines of dialogue total. And she's not even in the ending cutscene because they were like, oh, fuck it.
Did you watch the extended ending for the PS5 version of Remake for the Intergrade?
No.
They added in like another 5 minutes of
Are
cutscene.
you fucking serious?
It's on
I didn't
YouTube.
know about this. What
He'll
happened?
get to it. Like, won't you? Like, I think when he finishes this part, he might get to it.
He might get to it.
Okay, well, I'll...
Let him experience that.
Okay.
As a Final Fantasy VII fan, he needs that.
Yeah, because I watched it with Rebecca and she had a good old scream.
I watched it too, and I had a scream. I was not affected by it.
Oh, Jesus. I had not heard of this at all. Oh,
I'm so happy for you, John.
because like I'm back in a place now where I'm like, yeah, no, I really liked Remake. Yeah, I'm having fun. Ramu's here. Wow, you know.
It's your favorite game?
It's my favorite game. It's my favorite game. It's my favorite game of all time. And they did things to it. They did awful things to it.
Actually, speaking of awful games, I did remember that other bad game.
Oh.
Biomutant, a game I forgot.
Yeah.
That's not a good game, but it's so not good that I forgot it.
There's like I only watched you play Biomutant, but there's something about Biomutant where I can't hate it. But yeah, it's bad.
Also, while you were talking, I had to go through old episodes to try and jog my memory, and I was like, Biomutant, what's Biomutant? Oh yeah, Biomutant! And that was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's all I had to say.
Biomutant had such like fanfare around it before it came out.
Yeah, but fuck that game.
Yeah, sure. Brian,
Yeah.
Plague Tale Innocence. Fuck this game. This is a transition. It was good.
At the start, I was enjoying it, but as I played more, I didn't enjoy it. But overall, it's fine.
Where are you with it?
I beat it.
Oh, you didn't like the last boss?
Well, the last boss was fucking brilliant, but I had to watch that bit on YouTube because Chapter 16. Oh my god, Niamh, Chapter 16 is not fun to play.
Why?
The bit where Blacksmith Boy has to push the cart.
So wait, hang on.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it's not sad in the 20th time.
Why do you suck so much?
I don't know. I don't.
So Brian, did you
I
get to
suck
the
at this
end
game.
of the game and then watch the ending on YouTube?
I got 30 minutes out from the end and watched it on YouTube.
I can never do that.
Yeah, that boss fight's really fun to play.
I'd say it is. Okay. Plague Tale Innocence is a game Niamh played, and I think it was last year or maybe the year before. Because, but it's part of PS Plus, and I got a PS5 upgrade, so I gave it a go. And I was really, really enjoying it, and certain chapters are great.
Yeah.
And I like stealth games that give you options, and certain chapters, they'll give you a mechanic, and they'll give you, you know, a step on each mechanic, or, you know, like a step or a variation of that mechanic. And then later sections or later chapters of the game allow you to try multiple different ways to kind of to get your way through the stealth sections, and they were a lot of fun. But by the end, I found I'm kind of talking about this backwards.
You can,
sweetie.
You can talk
you're
about
doing
whatever
fine.
You want.
You're doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really, really like the main core of the story that you're playing as a brother and sister. I wasn't super into protecting the brother.
He's such a little boy character that he's annoying. Like,
He's so
just
annoying.
a child. He just runs away, and
Yeah.
it's just like, no, you'll die. So,
Yeah.
like,
I really liked Amicia,
it's
and
frustrating.
the film or the game kind of reminds me of a film that I really like called Night of the Hunter, which is
That film
Oh, cool.
rules.
which is about two kids who run away after their mom is killed by their evil stepdad, and they have to like travel across like different types of land and interact with animals, and all the time he's kind of in the shadows.
That's from like the 60s or something, isn't it?
40s,
Fuck.
30s or 40s. Films in black and white.
It's awesome though. Like it's really
It's
well
a really good
directed.
film. But like, I love films where you're a kid and adults are scary, and like, if they catch you, it's over.
And I think they capture that well in this.
Absolutely. And like, and there's one chapter towards the end where you play as the little boy, and he's like 5 or 6, and it's believable that you're like a tiny little person, and you're like running under the table, and like the way the camera is done, the camera follows you and everything, and like, it is scary.
I saw a boss fight from it once, and it was just like a man, and I
Yeah.
thought that was cool.
Yeah, and like as soon as they like get you, like, it's over. Amicia's slingshot is kind of her core solution to, you know, attacking and putting out
Yeah, and
So-
the
and-
rat crystals.
the rat crystals. Yeah. I liked it when you're doing the stealth stuff, because with the stealth you're not required to react quickly most of the time. You're kind of planning it out and you're doing it step by step. Towards the end of the game, you're required to take out waves of enemies with the slingshot, and I could never quite get the hang of the slingshot to use it as a like repetitive weapon.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I really liked her slingshot.
I
I like shooty gameplay.
And yeah, because like I keep lining up and I get the red dot and it's going to be a headshot and I fire, but it doesn't connect for some reason. Because it's not a bullet. It's because you're throwing it like a rocket. With it's an arc, and so for whatever reason it just wasn't snapping into hits. And then sometimes it was, and it was the thing where it got to the point where it was like, I know what to do. Like, I know how to get through this bit. It's just whatever way the controls are. And maybe this was just like an issue. Because, like, the game is extremely ambitious.
Yeah, this is their first game.
And, like, it's a AA studio trying to make, like, something that's of the caliber of a Naughty Dog game in terms of its kind of storytelling and world building and kind of set-piece stealth in some ways. And you have, in almost every chapter, you play as one character, but you have a co-op character that you either need to escort or tell them to do one action while you do another action. Sometimes I found that the co-op NPC that you had would get stuck. I had to reset the game a couple times because a character got caught in a wheelbarrow handle.
No, Hugo.
And at one point you are walking around, you playing as Amicia with 5 other children, and you have to kind of like steer their AIs to make sure that they don't get caught behind a door, because then they'll keep walking where the door frame is, but the door hinge is blocking them.
I wonder if this is like a bigger issue on the PS5, because
think it
like
might be.
I didn't have a lot of
I had
one or
issues.
two, but not many.
The game crashed on me once, and then I had to redo the checkpoint. I counted it 9 times.
No.
Because on several chapters an NPC soft blocked me.
Oh shit.
And I had no choice but
weird.
to just like reset the checkpoint. And the checkpointing is fairly fair. The one thing I don't like is sometimes it'll set you off at a checkpoint and you're going to have to hear the dialogue from the guards again.
Yeah.
To the point where you learn off the dialogue.
That was a problem I had in Ratchet and Clank as well. Whenever like I died at the start of the level and it's just like, okay, time to hear this. I put that on mute a few times.
Yeah.
What did you think of the gore level in it? I thought it was a pretty fun juxtaposition between using like these like innocent children and then being like, okay, now we're going to have all the rats eat this man like a piranha.
Whenever like the rats swarm up, and like they use the fucking rats to the max.
Yeah.
Like there's rat tornadoes, John. But whenever the rats would like engulf a man and then disperse, and it's just like the skeleton, you're just like, oh no.
Or like there's a bit where you have to like wade through a corpse, like a field of corpses.
Yeah.
I thought that was really effective.
Yeah, it was. And so like I wish I enjoyed it more, because the parts I enjoyed were great. It's just the game made me not like it at parts.
How long did it take you?
About 10 hours.
Yeah, I'd say it's around 10 or under.
Yeah. Some chapters will take you almost an hour. Other chapters are only like 10-minute things.
It's one of those games I've always been on the cusp of being like, yeah, let's go in here.
I think you'd enjoy it to a point, but like I'm not sure if this is me or this version of this game, but something's not working.
I might give this one a go to see if that happens to me, because I don't remember that happening as much on the PS4 version at all.
Yeah.
And the sequel is in development.
It is?
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see what they do with that, because this was a really ambitious project for them to do.
So ambitious.
And like they pulled it off. Like
It always looked really interesting, I thought.
Yeah.
Is the sequel called... I think I might have made this up. Is the sequel called Plague Tale 2 Rise of the Rat King?
It's called Requiem or something.
yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised.
No, but like there are multiple Rat Kings. There's a
Yeah.
Rat Prince and a Rat King.
There's an evil pope.
Yeah. So I love
Niamh,
that.
could you do your best Rat King voice?
No.
Bryan?
We're having pizza tonight, boys and girls.
Okay, Niamh, go.
I
I pissed on myself and then fell asleep in it.
That's what they do.
I had pet rats.
Oh,
God, small mammals are so
Poor
bad for
Samantha.
just shitting and pissing everywhere. Where they sleep. The villains of this are the Catholic Church. Well, it's a inquisitor who's making sure people aren't doing any heresy, and they make a point of bringing in like an individually modeled bishop, and he shows up for one scene, and like there is so much reuse with the NPCs, but they really took the time to like decorate up one individual NPC as a bishop, to have him come in for 10 seconds and go, "You're excommunicated from the church," and he's fine. I got my rats.
It gets really Resident Evil at the end.
Yeah, it's just Palpatine rat Snoke. Like John, there's so many rats in this game. Like they use rats in a lot of creative ways, and
I've seen the final boss battle, and you're not lying.
I was very impressed with the rat physics. And I do like that they have to kind of like figure out like if you, because the rats are allergic to the light, but if you corner in the rats in with the light and they've nowhere to go, they just sort of like puff into like like flames, and it's like. So like the rats are a genuine, but they're magic as well somehow.
Yeah.
It gets very fantasy towards the end, but like it's got castles and stuff. So
and rat tornadoes.
That'd be a rough way to go.
Like it tries to make sure it's based on true events, but rat magic.
Cool.
It's not perfect. Like I remember when I first played it, I dropped it after the first hour or two because like I found it a little like boring, but then I got back into it.
It takes a while,
and I really warmed to it then. But I really liked the helplessness of being a kid, and then like Amicia using the rats and kind of killing people in this gory way, and then later on there's a kind of like, okay, now Amicia has to deal with her trauma for all the rat murder she did, and she needs to crawl through the corpse cage.
Yeah.
It's like it's interesting. I'm looking forward to the second one because they can only build on what they have.
I'm so curious what like the scale of that game.
Yeah.
will be.
I hope there's like a giant rat and Hugo's riding the giant rat.
Yeah, hell yeah. Whatever they do.
And it's like Plague Tale, no rat left behind. Like, because we gotta save the rats.
I hope at some point he gets a crown and he's like, in alliance with the humans. I also played a game loosely based on reality. Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart. And let me tell you, this game did fucking nothing for me.
I bet it didn't.
Yeah. No one should be coming to me for opinions on Ratchet and Clank games. I kind of had I'd never played one before. I kind of had a feeling that it wasn't going to be my thing. And like, I only played it for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, so maybe I would have got more into it after that. But there was no part.
It stays the same.
Fair enough. There was just no part of this game that appealed to me at all.
Visually?
Did the game show off the PlayStation 5 to its full potential?
Look, here is my thing with the visuals. I think it is the best version of doing this Pixar thing that exists, and I think in 2 years a game is going to come out that will do it better.
Ratchet and Clank 2.
And like it does, like its art direction, obviously talented people worked on this, but like I've seen it before. Like I've seen these futuristic cities. I've seen this like alien swampland. I've seen, this fucking neon robot shit. Like I've seen it,
Yeah, it's the best PS2 game.
Yeah.
On the PS5.
Yeah.
20 years later, they finally figured it out.
And then like, some stuff, I think some of the combat animations were really janky and rough. Like the ones where like he stretches his arms out and like his wrench like scales up and scales down. Like I could understand that shit on like PS2. It just looks weird to me.
He has a lot of invisible pockets.
I liked Rivet. She seems cool. She's got a rad robot arm.
Yeah, so she's not just like the gender counterpart. She has a she's got a robot arm
going on.
It's that and the arm.
I totally saw what you were saying, like with her interesting, like kind of like hates what she is, but is what she is kind of stuff. Like I was like, that's cool. Gameplay, it's like the least stimulated I have been by a game in the longest time.
John, this game's going to be in our top 5.
Over my fucking dead body.
It'll be in our top 10, that's for sure.
You guys will not give a shit about this game by the end of the year.
I'm going to give so much of a shit. I'm going to shit so hard.
So, like, just gameplay, like, you know, you pick your weapon and you point at the bad guys and you squeeze the trigger.
Yeah, but haptics.
And whatever choice you make, like, it doesn't feel different, I don't think.
Oh, I really unliked unlocking guns. I do think it has a, like, you will stick to your favorites except when you need to level up the other ones kind of thing. But I had a combo that I really liked.
I mean, I threw out the mushroom ban and then I would shoot people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, there was no decision making happening. Like, there was never a point where I was like, oh, I now have to make this choice or this choice, and if I make wrong, I'm going to be punished. Like, I didn't die. Like, and I suck at shooters.
Gets pretty tough towards the end.
It's a pretty cozy game. Like, I didn't like the combat isn't pretty difficult, but it gets fast paced where it's kind of fun.
This is like I was in between like the vaccines and I was kind of fucked, and it was the perfect game for that. Because, like, you are not feeling 100%, and this game is just, it is a Sunday morning game.
There was a lot of times I was playing it, and it's just like, I am on autopilot, like, and you kind of want the difficulty to, like, be tweaked a little bit higher for some of the combat stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you have the arena where the combat is, it has harder challenges. It kind of limits you to one gun, or you have to do, like, there's, like, lava that you have to kind of manage where you are kind of stuff. And you have to manage your, like, ammo and stuff. So the difficulty is kind of there, but while you're playing the normal game, it's kind of a doddle. Like,
yeah,
you just go through the motions.
If this game's, like, aesthetics or themes or even the type of combat appealed more to me, I'd probably be okay with that. Like, I don't need all combat to be, like, you know, the super intensive decision making, but yeah, it just didn't appeal to me at all. I don't think this is a bad game. It's not a bad game. It's not a fantastic game.
So, like, I guess what we're trying to say is, like, Ratchet and Clank are rift apart, but united together, we all love it.
Yeah. Game of the year.
No.
No, like John, I think if we all just, like, put our heads together, we would all have the same amount of passion and love for this game.
You know what? I think you're right, Bryan. I know this is the quickest way to end this. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I think games can be more. I just think they can be more than this.
Yeah, I was ready for not needing more. Like, I wanted a nice time, and I got a nice time, and that's kind of all I wanted from it. But I can see...
It's a first-party PlayStation game, that's for sure.
Like, nice time. Sounds like top 20 material.
No. This is going to number 10.
Look, it depends what else comes out. It is very good in a very weak year.
John, I think you need to play Sky Children of the Light.
You need to put shit in perspective.
I think you got to see what this is up against.
Yeah.
John, I think I gotta buy Biomutant again and just lend it to you like I did with Ratchet.
Is this your tactic, Bryan? Feed me inferior platformers so my opinion of Ratchet and Clank slowly rises.
It's a good gimmick.
If you like Ratchet and Clank, sure.
If you're like a normal human being.
What? I think I've been perfectly reasonable to this game.
No, it's fine. It's charming.
Yeah, is it?
Rivet's really cool.
Yeah, it is charming.
Rivet's very charming. Yeah. Ratchet and Clank,
they kind of don't have much going on.
No, they don't.
Ratchet kind of seems like a more He seems like Sonic the Hedgehog's cousin who is just kind of lame.
He's just found out what sex is and he's not sure.
And then Clank is just is the polite robot. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Rivet was cool. Quicktime Events.
Breaking my fucking heart.
I'm sorry, Bryan.
It's fine.
I did give it a shot. You know
what? Niamh likes Plague Tale, and I was trying to be so nice to that game that I just broke my heart back.
Look, I don't mind if you hate Plague Tale.
No, I don't hate it, but I was getting real mad at it.
Yeah, you seem really bad at that bit.
Look, I'm just so glad that Sky Children of the Light exists.
Look,
so that we can just...
You guys will both not like Kevin Can Fuck Himself, and it'll just be full circle.
Should I pause? Let's pause.
Yeah, I'm getting wine. I was gonna say making wine again.
Okay, guys, we'll be
Niamh is
right
making
back. We'll be right back. Niamh's gonna just take off her shoes.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Just gonna press some grapes.
We'll see you guys in like 8 to 12 months.
Au revoir. Okay, I'm gonna start recording here now. Thank you, Oni.
What a forbidden conversation.
Oni, we had a very, very disgusting conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
His main is Weetabix. I just want to leave that in so that we'll know what we were talking about.
yeah.
News.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo Switch OLED.
There you go. There's your Switch Pro. There's your hardware revision.
There you go. That's what you all get for believing in something.
So I've pre-ordered this. Obviously.
Really?
Okay, so
yeah,
my first thought was, will Bryan buy this? And my
Yeah.
second thought was like, he definitely will.
My thought was, will Bryan buy this? Yes, probably, but I didn't think you'd like pre-order it straight away.
Okay, Niamh, I own the Switch and the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
Okay, so my reasoning is we all own launch edition Switches, which are 4.5 years old now. Mm-hmm. How does your Switch feel?
I got new Joy-Cons
Rattly.
and it feels okay.
You got new Joy-Cons?
A little rattly.
Mine has a rattle, but it's got a bit of a bulge in the middle.
Go on.
It's got cake at the back. And whenever I put it into the Joy-Con, it goes, easy does it. So it's definitely on its last legs, and it's out of warranty. And GameStop have a thing where if you get the new Switch, you can trade in the old one, and you get the new Switch for like 60 quid. So
Really?
What?
yeah. So,
Okay.
Well, you know, if we talk shit, we
Yeah.
talk shit.
Okay.
I just want peace of mind. That's why I'm getting the Switch OLED.
I can't believe you. Yeah.
OLED, 7 inches, you an Ethernet port, eh?
The Ethernet port is very handy as well, because if you're playing Smash Online, you need that latency. It cost €360. The Switch was €330, and the Switch Lite was €230. So it's a bit more than I think it should be. I think it should be somewhere in between, because this is not so much a hardware revision. It's going to have the newer battery, and it'll probably have some quality of life improvements, but it's not a boosted system. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And it's also at the same day as Metroid Dread, and oh my god,
Hey, they fucking knew what they were doing there.
October 8th is I'm gonna book the day off work. It's called Fat Boy Friday. There's a whole plan. I've got the fucking collector's edition of Metroid pre-ordered in the bag. I've got the 2 fucking amiibos pre-ordered in the bag. I've got the new Switch I'm a very special guy.
No one's arguing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 20 bucks of McNuggets. I'm gonna cycle home with a smile on my face.
Ghostwire Tokyo has been delayed to early 2022. I did not think that was surprising, because I thought that game, like, the concept trailer initially was awesome. I thought it looked kind of rough.
The gameplay one?
Yeah, It looked like a beta.
That made everyone go from, oh, Ghostwire to, ooh, Ghostwire.
And then you think of that woman and you're like, oh.
Yeah. She's not part of it anymore. She's
She
off
was
doing her own
gone,
thing.
like,
She had to go to horny
straight up.
jail, remember?
She's now a consultant, I believe, because she's very experienced. Ikumi Nakamura. This is part of Bethesda, isn't it? So this will become like it's a PS5 exclusive, but now it's timed because it'll end up on Game Pass on Xbox Series X,
That is correct.
along with their other game that is out in September that I forgot the name of.
Starfield?
Oh, the other shooter.
Deathloop?
Deathloop.
I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
Stephanie. Deathloop.
That looks so good.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Infinity.
There you go.
So this Bloomberg broke this story, and then Ubisoft confirmed it afterwards, and it's basically Assassin's Creed as we know it is probably going to change from kind of their new installments to a live service style hub called Assassin's Creed Infinity. And they've kind of said this before, they've said before that they kind of are looking at games as kind of live services and stuff that can kind of grow. So what this sounds like is it's going to be a Infinity World Hub that you can access different worlds, like different continents, different time periods from, that will be updated with different content. It seems Ubisofty. Like, that seems like what they would do.
Niamh, you're the only one here who gives a shit about Assassin's Creed. How do you feel about this?
I'm kind of out. I got really burnt out because I played like Origins and I played Odyssey, and part of me really wants to play Valhalla because like you get to go to Ireland, and I think that's,
it's got new grain.
Super cool.
Part of me was like,
it's got badgers.
Like, I don't like Assassin's Creed, but could I just play the Ireland bit? Apparently, you get to date a feisty Irish lass who likes fighting. Like,
I want to see that shit. And like last weekend I went to the Irish Archaeology Museum in Dublin. It's free and it's a really nice day out if anyone is looking to do something in Dublin. And just seeing all like our like medieval stuff, our Bronze Age stuff.
Bronze Age stuff is so cool.
The shields, just our like our swords, our weapons, just all like this cool ancient Irish stuff. Yeah, and just our jewelry.
I find the older I get, the more I give a shit about that stuff.
It's cool. It was important. A really, really good experience. And like I learned that we'd had like gauged ears, you know, and big earrings that like made out of gold. And I didn't know we did that, but we did. And I went to visit the bog bodies, and old Crone Man was there, and he's from Offaly, so solidarity, my little dead friend. So like it was a really nice day out, but part of me went, oh man, I should play Valhalla just to go to Ireland and see this stuff rendered. Like,
well, like how often do we get to go to Ireland in a video game?
Like never, very rarely.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been.
So I'm kind of burnt out, and also just Ubisoft and just, you know, them defending all the abuse allegations,
all the sexual predators.
Yeah, and just nothing really happening with that kind of stuff. I'm kind of like, I'm out for now. I don't like, I've given them a lot of money for many years, and I don't think I want to, and I'm burnt out. I don't think I want to give them any money anytime soon. So Assassin's Creed Infinity for me is not something that I am going to be interested in, but I can from what I imagine it would be and how those games work, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I can see buying stuff
makes sense.
Like piecemeal, like, okay, well here's China, and you can buy that for like 20 to 30 euro, but you don't have to buy like more Egypt stuff or whatever. It makes sense, and like tying it all together with the like Adamus. So like I don't hate it, but I don't think I'm going to be there for it.
So Assassin's Creed started in November 2007. Next year, will be 15 years old.
That's nuts.
That is crazy.
Only 15? That is so wild, because I was just thinking like Bravely Default's 10-year birthday is happening, and they've managed to get like 3 games out.
But then, fucking Ubisoft, like
Ubisoft just
every year.
Yeah.
I think I still
shit.
consider Assassin's Creed new because I never accepted it. You know, that kind of way.
It came out like peak Xbox, PS3 era, like a year or two into that. Very early in our college years, but we're old now.
From a Niamh game to a Bryan game, although maybe not a traditional Bryan game. How you feel about that? Their Dead Space remake.
Dead Space is getting a full game remake. This is still like, there's no official like footage. It's just statements from EA that they've confirmed it. It exists and is in
People
development.
thought it was a reboot for a long time.
Yeah, that it was Dead Space 4, but it's the first game. Yeah, that's fine. Usually when they do a remake, they do the trilogy. But I guess this is EA, so they're gonna paste it out and make money that way.
They cited Resident Evil Remake and the success
Yeah,
of that
that's
as
it.
something that they want to kind of look into rebooting it and kind of making it from the ground up as something different.
And the first Dead Space was made as a response to Resident Evil 4, so
Yeah, that kind of...
that's interesting.
Visceral Games has been all but disbanded by EA, so
Yeah,
I
they
think
got
it's
destroyed.
really like... I don't know. It's a pure EA move to kind of ignore the talents and the creativity of something until another studio proves it has worth, or that you could be doing something with this, and them going, oh, we'll do that. But kind of the people who made that game special to begin with are not there.
Yeah, they're not.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Like I wouldn't not play it, but
I would play it eventually, but the thing is, I played the trilogy last year during lockdown because I was feeling nostalgic for them. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, I actually wouldn't buy this right away because it's too fresh on my head that I wouldn't get enough out of it.
Unless they're like doing some real wild shit with it. Like if we're talking Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 2 Remake. But I mean, what could that even be? Because Dead Space wasn't that... Like, it was long ago. It wasn't Resident Evil 2 long ago.
Yeah. I like the first Dead Space. I love the second Dead Space. I love Dead Space 2 a lot. Like, that's one of my favorite Western games. As someone who doesn't like a lot of Western games, like, that is one of my favorite Western games. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I will watch the trailer.
I will also watch the trailer for Lost Judgment, maybe the last game in the series following the actor's image rights dispute. This series is so haunted by image right problems. Because wasn't this the one, or was it? Yeah, no, this was the one, wasn't it? Where
no, it was in Yakuza 6. Wait, was it Judgment?
I think it was
Judgment. I blurred them because the studio was making a bunch of games that all at this. I think it is Judgment. Yeah, the guy got caught with cocaine, a tiny amount of cocaine, and they had to just like get any trace of him out of the game and replace him with someone else. The actor that his likeness was based on.
There was some problem with some. I read this story a couple of days ago. Some dub. I think that they wanted to overdub the actor, and the actor was not happy with, or the actor, not even the actor, the people who own the rights to the actors. It was weird, but yeah, it looks like the Judgment might be stopping.
The main guy in Judgment, what's his name? Kagami? His first name's Tak anyway. He's a J-drama like superstar, and with his talent agency, his publicity and image is very sacred.
There's a really weird culture around that in Japan. Like there's a lot of actors who will sign contracts that the films can't release in English because they don't want to be overdubbed, stuff like that.
And the way the Judgment games are is that he's an actor, but he's also a singer. But the acting contract and the singing contract are different contracts. So that's why in the first Judgment he doesn't sing karaoke, because they only signed the acting one. Yeah. But I guess it's to do with the fact that Judgment comes out in PC modding is a thing, and his image could be modded to be portrayed differently. And the Yakuza games have a horny audience.
They do.
I've seen stuff with Kiryu and Majima where their bodies have been changed.
Those are just the games, Bryan.
Sometimes they are the games.
I think this is like shitty and really sucks, but I can understand that fear of like the fucking Beyond Two Souls modding and stuff.
I'm trying to think of like
Elliot Page.
Elliot Page, yeah. I'm trying to think of Western games, and the only one I could think of off the top of my head was Beyond Two Souls, because it has Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe. And then like the other games I could think of were like Death Stranding, but that's a Japanese game. But like there's very few games that use like a likeness, and that's like their image and their voice.
I don't know, I think give it a couple of years and there's going to be naked 3D models of everyone on the fucking planet out there.
So is that your plan, John?
No, it's just this deep fake shit, man. It's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like that like people already have the model. Yeah. Like they're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, stuff's about to get real weird. But I think with this one it's less that and more this really weird specific localization clause that was causing issue. But I might know. I watched the trailer for the new Judgment and I was like, yeah, this looks alright. This looks like it could be fun.
Could be fun, but seems like the plan a few months ago was that this was meant to be the combat series, and then Yakuza was going to be the RPG series. But now that's at a bit of a crossroads. So that's the interesting thing I took out of it.
I would also like if that's their plan, like an RPG series and a combat series moving forward. Cool. Let's build something up that's more focused around combat. You know.
Yeah. But yeah. It seems like Judgment is only a 2-game series at this point.
Yeah.
But that story's still ongoing.
And this could all turn around. Like we'll see. I don't understand this stuff. But you know what I do understand? Emails.
We have an email address, finally.
What kind of stuff can I send to an email address?
I'm just setting up my Windows 95. I don't 100% know how the internet works yet.
Okay.
But ask letsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm typing it into Outlook here. And nothing's coming up, Brian. I don't see anything.
You need to turn on the internet and turn off your phone line.
What if someone wants to call?
They're going to have to wait. It's time for emailing.
I'm out.
No, emails are going to be the next big thing.
I don't see it. I never saw it. Ask letsfightaboss@gmail.com. Not us. Ask. Sometimes my K's come out a little soft. Leads to some bad scenarios.
All right. I got one here from Mark, and it's about remakes.
Okay.
I thought this one was good. Okay. Dear Boss Gang, is Final Fantasy Origins the video game equivalent to a soulless Disney remake? Or at least the video game equivalent to a Joker or Cruella? If so, what other video game would you like to make a Joker out of?
I really see that soulless Disney remake part, because that is what it feels like to me.
It's leaning into the franchise and just kind of like picking and choosing this sort of underdeveloped thing.
Yep.
And trying to give it more character than it needs.
I would go further into, like, you know, before the Marvel cinematic universe existed, and, you know, that superhero schlock, I would call it more early 2000s, like, attempt at making something huge. Like, there's something about it that's nearly so sincerely crappy, because it doesn't have the polish of something like Disney would do, because it looks too ugly.
It kind of reminds me of the Underworld films.
Yes, something like that, like where it's really sincerely like over the top goth and kind of crap.
I feel like what you're saying though is good though.
I know, but
it's
good on paper, but then when you have to experience, you're like, I'm bored.
But with like Cruella and like the Lion King remakes and all of these kind of things, there's so much money pumped into it to make this dead, lifeless, flaccid thing.
I guess the Cruella is more like a Ratchet and Clank then. I'm sorry. I don't have that.
I don't fully disagree, but like.
Oh no.
This is how they make things for people. This is how money works now.
So I wanted to do that Origins with like soulless Disney, like 1-to-1. I would say it's like pre-Marvel superhero movie.
Because in some ways, the remake.
I would call them remake the Disney version.
But like, you know how Final Fantasy Remake, it's not quite Joker, but they are kind of overindulging in Sephiroth.
They sure do that.
For a character that does not appear in Midgar, he sure does appear a lot in Midgar.
You fucking bite him with the fucking one wing.
Okay. So let's think of like video game villains and like what fucking like schlock could they like wank out of that?
I mean, I think the worst answer that I could come up with is like Kefka of Final Fantasy VI gets his own like villain game.
Leave. Shh. Don't fucking say it. If they hear that.
He's already a clown.
If they hear that.
Yeah. I'd love if they just like I wish for the Sonic anniversary because it was the 30th anniversary. I'd love if like because the other way they had that presentation, it was pretty short. I'd love if they just had this one bit right at the end, the screen goes black, and you just hear you hear the crack of an egg, and then the logo Eggman comes up on screen. Nothing else.
I think a Shadow the Hedgehog 2 could do really well. You just hear go time, motherfuckers.
I think you're going too far out of Joker territory.
Okay.
Like how do you define a Joker character? So they're like what, a bad guy who gets their own like origin movie?
Yeah.
That kind of justifies their badness to a degree.
Like I'm trying to think of like video game villains that are more fun than the protagonist.
Landy Origins.
They probably would do that.
I mean, with the fucking anime coming out, who knows?
They gotta explain something. They gotta, like, what is it going to be? Him looking at the map for the whole anime?
The big twist is going to be that Rio's dad killed Landy's dad, but they're acting like they don't know this.
Yeah, I was just like, that was clear from the first game, from the first hour.
I think it was like the post credits reveal of Shenmue 3. I thought about Shenmue 3 recently.
Don't.
Maybe it's good. Maybe you should play it again.
Maybe if I get in there one more time.
Okay. I'm looking at the Pokemon tablecloth we have here. I'd love a Giovanni movie. I want like a mafia origin story about in the world of Pokemon.
Bryan, this sounds kind of awesome.
I know, right? About Giovanni and it's just like a crime thriller with fucking Electabuzz, and like at the very end, you hear like, "Heard you're taking in people to make a new crew," and he walks out of the shadow, and it's Mewtwo, and Giovanni's like, "I got some armor for you."
Oh, Mewtwo armor, still the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. You want to fuck up some kids?
Niamh, you look ponderous.
I'm trying to think, but I'm not getting anything.
Like they kind of did it with The Last of Us 2 already.
Yeah,
They
they really did.
They explored every possible.
Ellie Joker.
they kind of exhausted that.
Remember that bit where Ellie cuts the girl with the knife and she's like, "Why so serious?" we got one more, Bryan.
Yeah, we do. All right.
We got to do a heavier email episode because I love the emails, but then we always get to the end and we shit it on for too long about Ratchet and Clank.
Okay, there was one here, and it was an interesting question.
Can we address the embarrassing email situation?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Look, people email in and they're always like, "I'm sorry I sent an embarrassing email." If you are one of the people who has the consciousness to think that, I promise you are not in the embarrassing emails folder.
No,
it's a very select group.
Who have no shame.
Who have no shame.
And 5 years later, still have no shame.
Still have no shame, and just they sent an email to a video game podcast, and good lord, man, what are you doing?
Cliff, it wasn't you. Don't worry.
No,
You're all right, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, this is one I've had on the docket for a while, and I keep skimming over it. I think it's time.
Okay.
This one broke my heart when I read it. This is from AJ. Have you ever ruined a console for a stupid reason? Okay. Hello, immovable object, unstoppable force, and John. Oh. I forgot he said that. Okay. Have you ever unintentionally destroyed a console through a terribly dumb action? When I was 5 years old, I used a PS2 my dad and I shared as an extra as an extra step on top of a chair to reach some snacks in to a cabinet.
Oh, I mean, as a kid, that makes total sense.
It was the old thick PS2, and I was also a large child. And my feet went through the house.
Oh no!
You all are so lovely. Thank you for being you. AJ, like, honestly, like, that is so sad.
That is so sad. He just wanted a little snacky.
I think I still have every release day console I've ever owned.
Yeah, me too.
The only one that ever crapped out of me was my original 360 red ringed, like Manny did, and
Yeah,
then
they're
I got
meant to.
a
Yeah,
back one.
same.
Yeah, I definitely got into the phase now where, like, any console I've bought, I will flip or upgrade it, like I'm doing with the Switch, where, like, I've gotten out that, like, I've saved myself from the warranty expiring or me doing something stupid like that. I've recently started modding Game Boys, and I'm real close to fucking up with that stuff, and there's been moments of sheer frustration, and I don't want to get into it too much because I got very upset once or twice, and Rebecca had to order me dinner because I was too sad.
Brian, you're just learning. You'll get better.
Yeah, but see, the problem is you're learning on
Things-
25-year-old consoles that you have sentimental value for, and like that is a dangerous game.
Yeah,
and
that's tough.
And so AJ, it's not the sense that I'm like destroying stuff, but like I am modding stuff in that I am unscrewing and I have to fit larger screens into Game Boys or Neo Geo Pockets or whatever, but you have to like use flush cutters and cut out plastic, and you hit a point of no return where you're like, okay, like at this point I've broken the console beyond its original form, that I have to go through with it, and you just have to cross your fingers that it's going to work out. But
So much of that stuff is like learning, like it's just a learning curve, but like to learn you have to fuck things up. Like when I built my PC like for the first time, I was like sweating buckets and I turned it on for the first time and it just did not fucking work, and I was just like, that's it. I fried the motherboard, I fried fucking everything.
Niamh, you have to be careful with that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Thanks John.
John,
I got it working eventually, but it's like this, like it's an expensive or it is an emotional, like kind of personal cost to exploring these things.
My PC journey took me to some incredibly dark emotional places where I wasn't just like, oh, I have ruined this PC. I was full on to like, I ruin everything. You know?
It's so weird how like you get these machines or gadgets and there's such a big deal at launch and you treasure it, and what happens is you either hold on to them or they end up in the attic or whatever and they collect dust and you rediscover them later on. Or sometimes you just fuck up and you just step on it by accident thinking that's going to be okay.
I don't think I've ever destroyed anything, which is surprising because I destroy things.
You do?
Yeah.
The Game Boy that is 20 years old that you gave to me is in great condition and I will be adding a screen to it. But to me, it doesn't have sentimental value, so to me it feels like a donor console.
It has sentimental value because it was a present from me, Bryan, your best friend.
No, I think he was right with his first statement.
The Neo Geo Pocket.
We're getting too mean on this pod. John needs some love, okay?
Well, look, here's some love. The Neo Geo Pocket you got me means a lot to me, and full stop.
That's sweet.
And I
did think of that present, and I was like,
it came with a box and it has a serial code and all. Like, it's very important. I'll talk to my therapist about that fucking thing.
Oh my god.
Okay, one time, look, this is not doing anything, and I don't mind sharing this on the podcast. I know we get personal sometimes. Quotes from my therapist have been, "Thank you for sharing that thought about your Game Boy." Because that's who I am as a person. And so I completely get this whole thing. Like, AJ, I'm sure this PS2 meant a lot to you, and like, PS2 was a big fucking deal 20 years ago. It's still a big fucking deal now with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Like, it's still fucking trucking.
Yeah.
And like, to have your feet go through that housing. Sorry, but like, it's a really funny story, and like the way you wrote it, you knew you were going for a laugh.
Oh, it made my day.
Yeah, like, it's sad, but it's funny, and you can hear like the sound of it. But like, fucking broke my heart, dude.
Bryan, I actually have a question for you. Do you ever like regret trading in anything because of the sentimental value? Like, I know you had a lot of love for your Metal Gear PS4. But
yeah, and it's got a typo and everything.
Yeah.
I have a lot of regret about that, but I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay.
I remember once I traded in Goemon 64 because I was just really hungry, and like, I remember the day I got the...
No, but seriously,
I didn't finish that sentence.
Fair.
I was very hungry for another game.
Oh, okay.
Did you trade it in for cash to buy food?
No.
I've been there.
But I remember I wanted that game. I was saving up to go on holidays, and then I went down to Nook Grove, and for some reason, and I didn't know this existed at all, I saw that they had Goemon 64, and the last I knew of Goemon was a Super Nintendo game, and I couldn't believe this existed. So I ran home and I got all my holiday money, and I ran back to Golden Discs and I bought it, and my mom got so fucking angry at me, and she was just like, "You're not gonna have any money for your holidays now." I didn't give a shit.
Your parents buy ice cream.
And I really loved that game, and then eventually I traded it in, and that was always the one where I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I wished I still had my PS4 Metal Gear Solid version, just because like I've got a PS4 Pro, but I don't like the sound it makes.
Yeah, it gets loud.
And I modded my PS4, the Metal Gear one, so it had a 2 terabyte hard drive. Felt real proud of myself for doing that. Didn't fuck up once. Like, that console went through a journey with me, and it all worked out until it didn't. And I sold it.
I kind of regret trading in my original PS4 as well. It had PT on it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, you know what? Fuck it. And then like now I'm like, oh, no, I'll never play it again.
That's like an alternate timeline at this point.
There's ways you can still play.
I know there is, but it's like, as well.
I guess it is kind of fun to have that like haunted piece of software.
Yeah, like like to me, when I got the PS4 Pro, that was my third PS4, and it was a big deal at the time. But as soon as the PS5 arrived, it went in the box.
Yeah,
because it was just taking up space.
Yeah, I have a spare PS4 now. I keep trying to give it to my dad. I don't know what to do with it.
I sell my old consoles on adverts.
Yeah,
it's pretty handy.
It's got that Silent Hill demo on it, Niamh.
Oh. You just put it in a box and you keep it forever like your giant Xbox original.
I still have my original 360. That shit's not going anywhere.
I have my original
360. What a
Great-
console.
Great console.
What a console.
And like,
My mom keeps going, Niamh, do you want to take the big Xbox up to Dublin? And I'm like, no.
no, I've got my original 360,
No, I don't want to store that. But you're not allowed to throw it out.
and it's got 60 gig storage, and it's got that wireless LAN adapter with the little antenna sticking out the back that costs like 50 quid you have to plug in. Very important.
I hooked mine up recently and it went through all its updating, and it was like it recognized my Xbox Series S, and I was just like, wow, they're all connected. But
That's
great
crazy.
console. Yeah.
Patreon shoutouts.
All right, so I got a bid for the Patreon. I was looking at the Patreon stats this morning. Guys, we got an interesting number. Okay? I'm not talking about the amount we're making, which, by the way, thank you very, very much. I'm talking about the amount of patrons we have. At the time of recording, 662. What number do we like here, guys? Are we sinners or are we winners? Or are we both?
We're probably both, but maybe more sinners.
That's right. We're in it to sin it. We want to get to 666. We might by the time of recording because we got the weekend ahead of us, and there's always a bump at the weekend.
Always a little bump in the weekend.
There's always a little bump.
yeah,
And like, guys, thank you so much. I personally, I'm not sure about John Niamh, but I know I appreciate
I'm
it.
not sure about me and Niamh either, but Bryan.
I like the money.
Just another, since we're talking about stats and stuff, we also went over 1 million downloads this year.
Oh my fucking god.
Specifically on like the RSS feed, it doesn't bring in like our YouTube or
So that's from iTunes,
SoundCloud.
Podcast,
Yeah.
Spotify. Because our three main platforms, our three main upload points are the RSS feed, which is fairly standard for a podcast. We have the YouTube version, which hello in the comments. And then SoundCloud, because you got to plug your SoundCloud.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Can I say something to the YouTube comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
It's the same three people, and they know who they are.
But if you want to leave a comment, go to the YouTube version, and that's where you can say stuff, because I will look at it and go, aw.
Yeah, and if you want to fight with your best friend, go for it. At this point, they are your best
Sometimes
friend.
I'll look at the YouTube comments and be like, I shouldn't have read this.
But that's over 1 million individual downloads.
That is crazy. That is absolutely insane.
From a silly little podcast we made 6 years ago. That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are so close to 666 on the fucking Patreon number. Like, come on, we gotta hit that shit. That's fucking brilliant.
And if you're checking it and we're over 666, listen, it's not 666. We got to get to 777. So sign the fuck up, please.
That's
Thank
like
you.
a Vegas number. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, but like 666 is fucking cool. I want to screenshot that. I want to screenshot 669 because that's kind of like Satan's kind of like Satan's doing a bit of funky time. Mm-hmm. And then 7, and then you know what, just keep making that number. No, numbers go up, don't they?
Well, that's the whole reason we do anything, right? Because if the numbers don't go, then how do you know if you? Let's read some shoutouts.
Johnny got excited and deleted something from the.
Oh shit! Did I? Hold on, I'll undo. Done.
Thank you, John.
Niamh, why don't you take this first one from Low Cash?
Still waiting for Niamh's Forbidden Rap song. Oh god, you'll be waiting a long time.
Okay, I got one in from Chadanuki.
And they specifically asked you for this.
I know, and I'm guessing they've been waiting for this for a long time.
3 years.
So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this once, and then never again. Okay? So do not send more of these in. This is a one-time thing. Let me just.
It's important.
Okay. You know what they say? All men are created equal. But you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe and you can see that the statement is not true. See, normally, if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak. and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% chance at best of beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix. Your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at Sacrifice, you got a 33 and a third chance of winning, but I got a 66 and 2/3 chance of winning. Because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me. And he's not even going to try. So Samoa Joe, you take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning if we was to go one-on-one, and then add 66 and 2/3 percent. I got a 141 and 2/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. Senor Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice.
So what's the context? Did the
This
Rock...
is a promo that the Genetic Freak delivered before TNA Sacrifice 1 year. Scott Steiner. He
really
delivers it with passion, and if you haven't seen it, you really should.
He really did the math. If I could find this on YouTube, it would be...
Oh, Brian, you will find it. You've seen this referenced, you just didn't know that this is what it was referencing.
This will be a separate loot drop. Don't you worry.
I'll make it my loot drop.
Okay. It's a good loot drop.
Yep. Brian.
This is from LSB. Shout out for my bud who accidentally kicked a tiny dog and attacked a child because she was distracted by this podcast. You know what happens to the best of us.
I do enjoy all the accident stories we hear about this podcast. I like it when people are like, I was at the gym and I dropped my weights.
Brilliant.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
And if I helped you get through your last rep, yeah.
Apparently you did for Fox Cage.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fox Cage. You did all right. Good going, bro.
Name one of those muscles after me.
Just
one of them.
just a real special one.
It'll
Yeah.
leave right here.
Also, Niamh has a tattoo of a gun on her wrist now.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that joke.
Little bang bang.
Stupid. Get it tattooed.
Little pistol.
You have been doing like a lot of finger guns. There you go.
There you yep.
Loot drop.
It's the end of the episode. We are 2.5 hours in.
That's the perfect length. That is the perfect length.
Yeah. The right amount of sweat has come off our bodies. John and I. Niamh's temperature is very well regulated for the most part.
Yeah, it really is. I run cold.
Yeah. I do not like the chairs that I have in my apartment, and they are terrible for the back.
Yeah, they at a certain point, the pant leg, it does become quite clingy.
It's actually I didn't tell you this, but after we record, Rebecca will come in just to like get some water for her bedside table or whatever. She'd be like, "Smells like you did a podcast in here."
It's a good musk. We're gonna bottle it and sell it. It's gonna be our gamer bathwater.
It would actually. There would be someone out there who'd be like, "Oh yeah, give me that."
Oh, guaranteed.
But you know what? For now, you're just gonna get a loot drop. What do we got, John? You've got your.
I got Scott Steiner's mathematics.
Okay. Yeah.
I got two. My first one is Maggie Mae Fish's video, Myth of the Auteur, Stanley Kubrick versus David Lynch. I love David Lynch. This is a great video where it talks about how the myth of the auteur can be used to prop up really shitty behavior and how you can be an auteur and not be shitty as well. And Maggie Mae Fish just makes fantastic videos, and she's
awesome.
always
She's very
really
funny.
engaging and just seems like a lovely person. So I think like you can't go wrong watching a Maggie Mae Fish video. My second one, Caroline Polachek released a new song today called Bunny is a Rider, and I'm loving it. There's a weird baby sound in the background. Don't love that part, but whatever, that's just a me thing. But I like the new song. You should listen to it. Caroline Polachek is great.
Okay. Then for me, I got a YouTuber called Kaiser Beams, and he does anime YouTube videos, but he does it on the anime that you see as the thumbnail for Future Funk videos. And he identifies what anime that is and explains the history and production of said anime. So he does anime from the late 80s, early 90s.
That's really cool.
Which is a certain aesthetic. He also has some, and like, he doesn't have a lot of subs and he doesn't have a lot of views for those videos, but then he also does videos on Warner Brothers and they have like 500,000 views. So the algorithm certainly picked certain videos and he just has a weird channel where one half is on a specific kind of anime, and then the other half is just on like the origins of Warner Brothers. So it's a good channel.
The thing I have learned about the YouTube algorithm is the more you look at it, the less sense it makes.
Yeah, that's for
just
sure.
this ever-evolving fucking monstrosity that no one should think about.
I'm getting a whole pile of new creators pushed on me, but they're all extremely young. So a lot of them is just like, hey, have you heard of this thing? And it's like, yeah, I'm 30. So it's like, I don't need to hear an 18-year-old tell me about this thing.
I logged onto TikTok the other day, and for some reason, my feed that day was like alt-right conservative TikTok.
Oh dear.
It was not pleasant.
You're just like, did you have to sign out and sign back in to reset the counter?
Whatever. And I just, the next day it was fine. But it was like, because sometimes like conservative shit will come up in my feed because it's someone stitching it. And then the person will be like, well, that person was a fucking idiot. And I'll be like, haha, they sure were. And I kept expecting that to happen. But then the video would just start again. And I'd be like, oh no.
I think that's the problem even with like quote retweeting stuff as well. Sometimes you're just spreading it.
Yeah,
the algorithm gets
you're not really sure about the full body of their work.
So I've kind of hit a point with Twitter where now I'm encountering like professional Twitter people who quote retweet anything and put their own spin on it. Ugh. And I've never wanted to rip my eyes out more.
That's like Reddit next level where they're just going for quip marks.
It's just fucking quip shit, but it's quip shit where they're like, okay, this person is really into like economics, so they're gonna take fucking tweet about Final Fantasy VIII and make this snarky economic point, and it's like, get fucked.
Yeah, Twitter's just a hellhole. I hate quote retweets as well for that, because it's just like a lot of people want their sweet dunk on like homophobia or transphobia, but all you're doing is spreading it, dude. Like your sweet dunk isn't worth it most of the time for you putting that onto your timeline and the people who it's actually about seeing it.
Do not highlight that stuff.
Yeah. Like it's just like it's not worth it.
You're being a bummer and you're sharing the bad news. Look for something wholesome.
Wow, this is like the most salient point we've ever made in our conclusion, and all we have to do now is end the episode without fucking it up.
Well, John, it's up to you.
Good night, everybody.
You can say pee pee poo poo if you want. It's my good one.
You could say like pee poo me you. You could say like blasting a fat one out my ass for y'all 2021. I
love Bryan.
Squirting 2021. Ass master.
I feel like a video nasty is called ass master.
Yeah, like freestyle slapping.
Ass master.
Yeah.
It's just a little hand disappearing into a giant ass.
A toilet terror bonanza.
In another world, Wishmaster is ass master. Okay, we could end the podcast now.
We could.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for tolerating our shit, literally.